Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Delta Center. This is Dan Roberts, the inside voice of the Utah Jazz. This evening, we pay tribute to a Utah Jazz man and his family as he bids farewell to the Jazz, to his fans, and to the NBA. It has been my pleasure to introduce Stock during his 19-year career approximately 900 times. In addition, I've had the privilege of watching him become the very finest player at his position to ever play the game. Thank you, John, for giving me the privilege of watching and talking about you for all these years. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the voice of the Utah Jazz, Hot Rod Hundley.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the Delta Center, the John Stockton salute, and we welcome KJazz TV covering this event around the great state of Utah. You've heard so many things about John. I just want to run through a few of the highlights. First of all, in his career, he scored 19,713 points with the Jazz. He had 15,806 assists. He had 3,265 steals. In 17 of his 19 years, he did not miss a game. He has 2 gold medals from the Olympics. You are going to hear from a lot of people and a lot of nice things said about John Stockton. I want to tell you a couple of stories about the funny side of this guy. He is a prankster. The Utah Jazz have their own airplane, and after every game that the Jazz play on the road, we leave following the game. John gets on the bus. He's never late. He's waiting and waiting with all of us. And most of the time, it's Karl Malone that's the last guy to get on the bus. While we're all on this bus, John will yell out at Coach Jerry Sloan and say, "Hey, Coach, we don't need a mailman. Let's go, man. We can win without him." Unbelievable. We don't need him. Let him get his own airplane. At about this time, here comes Karl on the bus. And John says, "Hey, Karl, all the guys wanted to leave you." I said, "We're not going anywhere without the mailman." Another quick story, every time the Jazz would play in Canada and win, back when the Memphis team was in Vancouver, and of course Toronto, and every time we would win, once again we get on the bus, and on the way to the airport, John would sing the Canadian national anthem. He knows every word of it. Unbelievable, and the bus driver's ears are burning. Okay, let's move on with the program. I call your attention to the Cricket Super Screen highlights of 19 years of John Stockton.
Starting guard line, number 12 and 6'1" from Gonzaga, John Stockton.
To the middle of Stockton. Stockton right side of Malone. Slammed up. The ball man. Below by Malone.
And on the given, oh, there he is, number 28 for that man.
Now Thompson with a screen, Magic left to right, Magic to the alley, stripped away, and Alvaroni's got it to Stockton, to the mailman. He's there, slammed up, Karl Malone. Driving down the middle, Buck Johnson, his pass picked off by Stockton, his 9th steal of the game. It's good, that's it, Stockton the assist. That's the new record, John Stockton.
He gets it inside to Bailey for the stuff at 5 seconds to go.
How about that, huh? I got a tear of mine. I've said it many a time, I'll say it again. He's the greatest point guard that ever played the game, in my opinion. Karl sets the screen, Stock left to right, rolls to Karl. He's under, slam it in with the left hand. Oh, what a play. Stockton on the yo-yo, taking right, going left. Can't get away, he'll back it out. Nice feet under the mailman, what a pass. He scores from there. Stock to the alley, 2 seconds on the shot. Fakes left to Clark, gets it away, scoring the bucket. Stockton with the ball, front court left. He looks to Karl Malone. He's got him low. The mailman jumps it, shot up, it's in. He did it, he did it. John Stockton to Karl Malone. A new Assist king, John Stockton. The crowd going crazy. Inside low left, Eric Williams. Stockton steals. There it is. Stockton stole the ball. Stockton stole the ball. He's the all-time leader in the history of the game.
Stockton gets the hand on it. Look at the pass. Look at that. John Stockton. He just put his signature on this game.
And Stockton has been the man here in the fourth quarter.
Stockton down the middle. Left side of Mano for the layup. Score it. Stockton drives. Put it up. It's good. Stockton. John Stockton.
John Stockton has an enormous shot to bring the Giants within two.
Stockton, open three. Good! John Stockton sends the Utah Jazz to the NBA Finals.
Stockton behind the back dribble. Drive it over to Carl to the hoop. Hammer dunk. Stockton to Malone. That's their ever-loving best. Stockton wide left, parallel with a free throw line. Carl Malone rolls. He's got it. Hammer dunk. Stockton to Malone. Stockton down the left side. Cross court to the elbow. Hammer dunk. Carl Malone. Oh, baby. You gotta love it. Stockton front court. Stockton underneath the Carl. He's alone. Score the bucket. Stockton left to right. Stockton to the trailer. Carl down the alley. Scoop it. Score it. Stockton across the court, underneath the crowd. Great pass.
Game 4 of the NBA Finals with the Bulls up 2 games to 1. And Jordan at court. Stockton fires down on the line.
John Stockton, you work on this pass your whole life. Stockton, normally so stoic. He says, yeah. 2, 3. Give him a pogo stick out there.
Stockton behind his back and the dish to Malone. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen.
Hang on, Stockton will take you for a ride to the wire. 5 seconds left. Stockton drive. Stockton to the hoop. Put it up. It's good. Stockton with 1 second left. Timeout, Denver. Freak off of here and go down the side. They do. Stock's got it. He's got running room. Stockton drive. Hang it up. It's good. It's good. The Jazz win it. The Jazz win it. I can't believe it. The Jazz win it. Stockton drive left. Go to the hoop. Shovel it up. Tipped in by the ball. He didn't touch it. It went in. It went in. Stockton wins the game. Wait a minute. Hold the phone. The ball went in. They count it. They count it. John Stockton, the Jazz win the game. It's over. It's over. 9 seconds left. 8, Stockton right side. Three-pointer. It's good. He did it. He did it. The Jazz win the game.
Stockton on the turn for the win. An incredible play by an incredible player.
Stockton drives right side. Three-pointer. He got it. He got it. The Jazz win the game. The Jazz win the game. How about it? John Stockton at the bounce to Stockton at midcourt. Malone the screen. Stockton goes right side. He's open. He'll take it for 20. Got it. Stockton hits it. Jazz take the lead. 7/10 of 1 second left in the game.
Russell will inbound at half court. Stockton, open three. Good! John Stockton sends the Utah Jazz to the NBA Finals.
What a great moment for the Utah franchise. Their proudest moment ever.
Here comes Johnny.
He's fallen down, and he managed to control the basketball and get it to Eaton.
Unbelievable. Stockton looking for Crown Malone. They hold up the mailman. Now they got him underneath. Hammered up. Stockton to Malone. What a shot! Count it, he's fouled.
It's not the end of the world. A lot of this is about the journey, and I know that's not my line or anything like that. I know people have said it before me, but all you can do is prepare your best and and lay it all out there. I'm sure people that have won championships that haven't had to work very hard at it, and we've worked very hard and haven't done it, and yet I feel a lot of reward out of the effort that it took to compete for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege for the final time to introduce number 12 at 6'1" out of Gonzaga. incredible moment. Incredible moment. We thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, he has his family with him here tonight. Across the way, his lovely wife, Nada Stockton, the Bear presenting flowers. He has his children here as well. All right, Bear. His children, Houston, Michael, David, Lindsay, Laura, and Samuel. Stand up, guys. Nada Stockton and John's family. And now, to get the program started, we'll call up the president of the Utah Jazz, Dennis Haslam. Dennis?
Thank you, Rod. You know, we receive fan mail for our players every day of the year. Sometimes it comes in large bags. We received a special letter today that I'd like to share with you that came in today's mail. It's dated June 6, 2003. It's addressed to Mr. John Stockton, Salt Lake City, Utah. Dear John, congratulations on your retirement from the National Basketball Association. Your remarkable career serves as a tribute to your hard work and dedication. As the NBA's all-time leader in assists and steals, you have set the standard for those who play the game of basketball. I know how proud your family, friends, and teammates are of your record of accomplishments. Laura joins me in sending our best wishes to you and your family. Sincerely, George W. Bush. Hot Rod.
Wow. It's our privilege now to have the First Lady of Utah, Jacqueline Levitt, Salt Lake City Mayor Rocky Anderson, and Salt Lake County Mayor Nancy Workman to pay salute to John Stockton.
We have a proclamation. Are you ready? From the people of the state of Utah. Whereas John Stockton announced his retirement May 2nd, 2003, making the end of his career with the Utah Jazz, and whereas he has played for 19 years and holds the league record for the most seasons with the same franchise, there's more. Whereas John Stockton possesses an irrefutable reputation for excellence and an intrepid ability to meet every challenge with strength and determination, and whereas he is the NBA's all-time leader in steals and assists, accruing a total of 3,265 steals and 15,806 assists over his career. He also holds the record for most seasons leading the league in assists and most assists in a single season. Over his career, he has accounted for 19,711 points. I'm going to cut just a little bit out to make it short. Whereas on the basketball court, he has proved himself agile, steady, always dependable, delivering one outstanding performance after another, always maintaining his unique intensity and fortitude. And whereas he's recognized as one of the 50 greatest players in NBA history, he is also a 10-time NBA All-Star. The 1993 All-Star Co-MVP and a two-time men's basketball Dream Team member, earning 2 Olympic gold medals. Whereas Jazz, with great admiration, we recognize and honor this sports hero, soon to be sports legend. So now, therefore, I, Michael O'Levitt, Governor of the state of Utah, who happens to be in Washington, D.C., and so I get this privilege, we do hereby declare June 7th, 2003 as John Stockton Day in Utah.
John Stockton, you have been absolutely amazing. Game after game, season after season, for 19 years. There's not a lot in this world that we can count on with consistency, but John, for 19 years, we could always count on you. Before Salt Lake City hosted the 2002 Winter Olympic Games, you brought Olympic gold home twice. When we hosted the All-Star Game here at the Delta Center, you and Karl Malone made the most amazing, magical memories for us in basketball history when you were both voted co-MVPs of that All-Star Game. You know, I'll tell you, the phrase Stockton to Malone took on particular significance that incredible day. And you helped lead the Utah Jazz to the finals for the first time in history. And John Stockton, you did it all, making us feel like we were important to you. Well, a lot of other athletes have come and gone. John, you remain committed to Utah, you remain committed to your loyal fans, and you hung in there. You stayed with the same team here in Salt Lake City for 19 years. And you can tell you're well loved for that. As a father, I'm so grateful for the way that you've been a role model for so many of our young people. We don't have a lot of great role models sometimes, but the example that you set, showing our youth the importance of hard work, of tenaciousness. And man, were you ever tenacious out on that basketball court, and your commitment to the standard of excellence. That's something our young people will always be able to look up to, and thank you for that. As mayor, I'm very proud to present to you today the key to Salt Lake City. Please, let this always reflect our gratitude for everything you have done. Through your remarkable accomplishments, through your hard work, through your dedication, through your unassuming example, you've already won the key to our hearts. Now I'm pleased to give you the key to our city. Thank you, John.
Thank you. What an honor. What an absolute honor. I know you're dying. I know this is not your thing. I guess that's what I admired a lot one of the things I admire the most about you. You just wanted to play basketball, and the media was the hardest thing on you. You have taught us all so much, and as mayor of the county, you have brought inspiration about how we should struggle through the difficulties and fight to the very end, and you've inspired us to be the best we could possibly be. Your inspiration has gone past the basketball court. Your inspiration, as you can see with all these people that have showed up on very short notice to honor you, you have inspired us in our daily lives to be the best that we can be. I'm going to make this short. I'm not real good at this either, but I'm going to give you a little gift as Salt Lake County Mayor. And then we have a very special gift, a very special thing that we're going to do. At the front door of Delta Center on 3rd West is now going to be named Stockton.
We're very excited to have with us tonight to honor John, the commissioner of the National Basketball Association, who just flew in from San Antonio. Would you welcome Mr. David Stern?
The statistics don't need repeating. Let me tell you a little commissioner's perspective here. When Sam Battistone was crazy enough to tell us he wanted to move the team to Salt Lake City, where we scratched our head. And when Larry Miller decided that this was going to be the little engine that could, he warmed our hearts. And when he built this building, saying that this franchise would be here forever, it was a sight to behold. And no one has done more to make this franchise the pride of the NBA than John Stockton. I became commissioner in 1984. It was not until 1990 that I learned that Stockton to Malone was not one word. And when you talk about our internationalization, there's a generation of kids around the world that learned how to play basketball, and I do mean basketball, from Stockton to Malone. So on behalf of really the Board of Governors of the NBA, the soon-to-be 30 teams in the NBA, the millions of fans, literally millions and millions of fans around the world who have seen you play and come to understand our game through you, thank you. Everybody's giving you a present tonight, so let me say the editors of NBA Entertainment are working on the director's cut of John Stockton, all 182 playoff games, the set of CDs. And with deference to that series, that is going to be masterpiece theater. And John, let me say to you, thank you for gracing our court. And if you change your mind, you don't have to give the CDs back. So, and if you don't change your mind, please invite me to the Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
The commissioner did that pretty well. Stockton Malone. Hey, this guy played for two coaches in his 19 years. Frank Layden from 1984 through 1988, or part of 1988. And Jerry Sloan has taken over all the way to here, at the end of 2003. And Jerry in his 16th year, starting next season, the longest tenured coach of any sport, in professional sports in the United States. We're going to take now, there he is down here. We'll wait for Jerry. First, we're going to get a tribute to John on our video screen from his first head coach, Frank Layden.
John Stockton retiring, you gotta be kidding me. He's still one of the best around. John, I'm just fooling. I want to congratulate you on a wonderful career. You've been exciting and you've been good for the city of Salt Lake. You've been wonderful for the NBA. And now life goes on. You know, I don't think of you as retiring. I think of you as graduating. In other words, you're going on to bigger and better things. And I know that you're going to do them very well. So from Barbara and I to you and Nader and your family, we wish you the best of luck. And we're still going to be around. Let's have dinner one of these days. Congratulations, son. You are the best.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the head coach of the Utah Jazz, Jerry Sloan.
Some 19 years ago when we first came here, it was Frank's assistant coach and Scotty Layden were here. I think back to this guy. He was riding coach, trying to save money. He was staying in a one-room apartment to try to save money. He didn't think he was going to be here. I think back of that about a lot because the work that he put in to play this game, the way he approached the game, is second to none. He had a unique ability that is unbelievable to try to describe. I can't describe it, but his ability to be able to play. When he first started, he was wound up like a spring, getting ready to explode. I still think he has that today. John, we thought you were going to play forever, and we wish you were able to. We want to thank you for allowing us to be your coach. It's our coaching staff has been blessed to have the players that we have and have your leadership. It's been an unbelievable run. I really thought you were going to be able to go forever. And I wish you well. In our minds, you'll always be there forever because of what you represented and the way you, when you walked in the locker room for 19 years and see this guy sit in the locker room prepare for a game. From a coaching standpoint, or from anyone's standpoint that wants to succeed, he never changed in 19 years. His preparation is, again, unbelievable to play. And it was always amazing to me that he was able to keep that right up till he came in the last day and said, looks like he's the end of the rope. I hated to hear that, but life goes on. And from our coaching staff, we would like to wish you nothing but the best, John, you and your family. And Don't forget about it.
Jerry always said when people would ask him, how come you didn't take a timeout during the fourth quarter? And John's on the floor, and he would say, hey, I got a smarter guy on the court than I am. I don't need to call a timeout. He was speaking of John. Of course, he was only doing that humorously, but he has been a great coach for John, and John loved him all the way. Okay, it's time now for it to bring out a giant jersey, number 12. We have 6 longtime season ticket holders to make this presentation. And this jersey has been signed by a lot of fans throughout the Wasatch Front. Oh, number 12. That'll be presented to John. That's Mark Eaton's old jersey, by the way. Okay. The next gentleman we want to bring up here, John played with 204 people throughout his 19 years in his career, but none like this man. They redid the pick and roll. They have absolutely made the game of basketball great in this great state of Utah, in particular here in Salt Lake City. Between the two of them, they have scored 56,000 points. The second leading scorer in the history of the game. The mailman, Karl Malone.
Well, first of all, I don't want to. I would like to, first of all, say thanks for coming out to support Stock. I just want to say that the very first time that I met John, I try to tell some interesting story and I get on with it. They say a 4-minute time limit, but that what I have to say to Stockton, and I do call him Stockton, I never call him John, so have been all my life. First of all, I would like to say that I hope that the people in the NBA and in Utah really appreciate what this man is all about. And it's kind of interesting how people read into things. I hope this day would have never came. I think Stockton is about as stubborn as Coach Sloan and myself, and I think that's why we got along so well. I can remember like yesterday that I met Stock for the first time. It was like fate. We was at the Olympic training facility, which was the hardest part of my basketball life. And Stock would say the same thing. I think by the second day we was hoping to get cut so we can go home. But the very first time I met John Stockton, we was going through the lunch line, and he picked up his tray 50 players before me, and I picked up my tray 50 players later, and it was one table sitting in the center of the auditorium where we was eating, and we met at this table for the very first time. And I never had been much on basketball, but I followed Gonzaga. Besides that, they got a decent last name too. They were the Bulldogs, and so was Louisiana Tech. So, that was the first time I met John. And no one else sit at this table but Stockton and myself. And the first thing he said was, "Where you from?" I said, "Louisiana Tech." He said, "All right, where's that at?" And I said, "Ruston, Louisiana." He said, "Well, I still don't know where that's at." And I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "Gonzaga." I said, "Okay, where is that at?" So that was our first conversation. And then I think the rest is history. I would like to say to John, he taught me more than the game of basketball. He taught me things as a person that will follow me the rest of my life. I'm from I promised Stock that I would never share this with anyone. But I have to tell a quick story, well, 2 or 3, because I have to do this like this, and no disrespect to the other speakers. I'll ride back from Sacramento, California. There was one other person in my life that I always said that if I had the opportunity to say something to him, I would. And I never got that opportunity. And that was my grandfather, and he passed away. And I said there would be another person in my life that I would like to say things to. So before the game even started, we were sitting beside each other in the locker room like we always do, except here at home. But on the road, we sit right beside each other. Here at home, he sit in one corner, I sit in another. Before the game, I said, Stock, no matter what happened, I said, I would like to talk to you on the plane ride back home, no matter what. And he said, okay. So get on the plane and I go back. And he moved his bag and he sit back. And I had to say something to him that made me the person I am today. And everyone want to know what that is. So it's the appropriate time that I want to say it to you and Nada and your family. Again, I came from the South. In the South, it's colors. With Stockton, he helped me get through that. I came to Utah from a little town in Louisiana. And I came here with a lot of doubt. Being a kid from the South, coming to Utah, and I met John Stockton. From day one, he never saw color. And to be honest with you, John, growing up in Louisiana, my mom tried to teach us right and wrong. But when I got here and I met you, and I met your family, you didn't see that. You helped me become the person, not the athlete, not the color. We've had our debates, which I love. And I won't go into those. But I will say here, in front of everybody, I want to make one apology to you. I never thought you would ever stop playing ball. I thought you would play forever. A number of days, a number of games, I did take you for granted. Because I knew when the going got tough, the number 12 would always cinch it up a notch. And I know it's tough now, it's corny, but I love you. I love what you stand for. And a lighter side, I spent time in Arkansas, and Stock spent time in Spokane. We don't talk a lot in this summer, but I walk past my exercise machine, 8:30 to 9 at night, or 5:30 or 6 in the morning. And I say to myself, I clean it up. I walk by this machine and I say, you know what? That little son of a gun is working out right now. So what I do, I go in my house and I change. And I start my own little private race with you. And it have never failed on our ride back from Sacramento, he said, "Do you know what I used to do? I used to walk by my bike on my treadmill." And I said, "That son of a gun is working out." And he would go change and do that. So I just want to say in closing that unfortunately in life, when it's time to say goodbye, we're always saying hello. And I hope and I pray that people here realize a couple things. It would absolutely, positively, never, ever be another John Stockton. Ever. So I would like to tell the fans one thing. He gave me more than I gave him. And I want to say this on behalf of my family to your family. We love you, and I'm going to miss you as I'm going to miss you as a person. So, thank you, and I love you, man.
The mailman. Ladies and gentlemen, the next gentleman needs no introduction. He's one of the biggest fans that John has ever had since he bought the team back in the mid-'80s. He absolutely loves him. Would you welcome the owner of the Jazz, Larry H. Miller.
Well, first of all, I need to thank a few people. I've been asked, I think, 10 or 12 times already tonight how it was that I was able to talk John into coming and doing this tonight. And I had to confess that it really wasn't me that talked him into it. It was Nada. And I just kind of got in at the tail end. I also have to thank all of the employees of both the Utah Jazz and K-Jazz TV and the Delta Center. They've been working so hard on this for a couple of weeks, and they've done such a marvelous job, and I really appreciate all that they've done. In trying to contemplate what to say, I had written a letter that was published on the front page of the 8-page John Stockton special section this morning in the Deseret Morning News, as it becomes on Monday, and the Tribune both. And I'm going to read the contents of that letter to John as my closing remarks, but there's a few things I wanted to share with you as well before I get to that. First of all, I want to talk about David Stern and how appreciative I am of the fact that he came here to celebrate and share this day with us today. A week ago Thursday, I called his office in New York, and I said to his secretary, because David was in a meeting, I said, let me tell you why I'm calling, so that when David calls me back, he can talk about what it is I'm calling about and be prepared. Excuse me. I said to her, we're having this John Stockton event on Saturday the 7th. I know he will be in between games 2 and 3 of the finals, game 2 being in San Antonio, Game 3 being in New Jersey. And as we all know, from San Antonio to New Jersey is not coming through Salt Lake is not a straight line. So I left that information with her, said we'd love to have him. I know it's a long shot. Friday morning, first thing, I got a call from David. The very first words out of his mouth were, "Of course I'll be there." I said to him, "Boy, I really appreciate that. I know what a sacrifice it's got to be trying to get from San Antonio to New Jersey, coming to Salt Lake on the way." His response was, "I will just do one of my famous all-night flights." And I said, "Okay, but again, I'm really appreciative. Thank you for coming and the decision you've made." And he said, "Larry, you do realize that we're talking about John Stockton, don't you?" That in itself was a terrific compliment to John for the commissioner to handle that the way he has, and I appreciate it. And I think John does too. When I speak at in different gatherings, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, what is John Stockton really like? And my answer that I answer every time I get asked the question is, that's simple. He's exactly how you hope he is. I also get asked on occasion what single word I think best describes John Stockton. When I first got asked that question some years ago, I gave an almost instantaneous answer, but even with the intervening years, I don't think I would change the answer I gave to the question, which was thoroughbred. Quite a bit has been made about the records that he has established and the numbers that he's generated during his career, but there's two things that I want to highlight that haven't been touched on yet. And one of them you would have no way of knowing unless you were in a party of two that was John and I. On the night that he got his 10,000th assist, I had the privilege of giving him the game ball in the first time out after that occurred. And as I handed the ball to him, I said to him, if I were you, John, I think I'd go for 15,000. And I handed him the ball, and he looked at me almost incredulously and said, "Are you nuts?" Now, recall the number 15,806. In the entire history of the NBA, there have been 9 separate seasons when an NBA player had 1,000 or more assists. In 1978 and 79, Kevin Porter of Philadelphia did it. In 1984 and 85, Isaiah Thomas of the Detroit Pistons did it. John Stockton did it 7 times. During the video, John made some really interesting remarks. I hope you listened to them. But one of them was when he was talking about how hard that he and so many others on the Jazz team had to work and not won a championship. And he noted also how some had not worked too particularly hard, just had been along for the ride and had a championship ring. But then he said, all you can do is prepare your best and lay it all out there. John, you laced them up 1,504 times, and you laid it all out there 1,504 times. This is a day that we always knew would come, but always hoped wouldn't. As I conclude, as I mentioned at the beginning of my remarks, I'm going to read the words that I wrote to John and was aided substantially in editing by my wife Gail and my secretary Marilyn. And if you read the front page of the 8-page section today, you'll see this, along with a picture of Carl and Jeff and John rejoicing after the Houston shot. It's entitled Glimpses of Perfection. On rare occasions, onto the stage of our lives, comes a person of such character, of such constancy, and of such skill in his or her chosen craft that any and all who care to observe are truly in awe of the performance and characteristics of that person. For those of us who call ourselves John Stockton fans, and we are legion, such a persona is John Stockton. Descriptions of what make you special are numerous, but to try to define your greatness in total seems to be somewhat of a futile exercise. To define you in terms of statistics, your longevity as the premier point guard in the history of the NBA, your mental and physical toughness, or the competitive fires that burn within you seem at first like an achievable pursuit. But when one observes you up close, as I've been blessed to do, that wasn't in the paper, and in an historical perspective, one begins to understand that defining individual elements of John Stockton is one thing, but to define you in total is likely unachievable. Even though you disdain rhetoric of this type regarding yourself, we would hope that you would indulge us somewhat in thanking you for giving us something so special for so long and with such consistency, style, and grace. On an NBA basketball court, thousands of times during your career, you gave us glimpses of perfection. One of your teammates, who had played on numerous teams around the NBA, was once asked what he thought John Stockton's greatness was. Without hesitation, he answered, "That's easy. He always gets the ball exactly where it's supposed to be, exactly when it's supposed to be there." Although you would undoubtedly disagree with the aforementioned statement because you're your own toughest critic, the record shows that at the very least, you did it longer, better, with more consistency, albeit more quietly, than anyone who ever played the game of basketball. For this, we thank you, John. You taught us what we can become if we work hard, pay attention to our lessons, and never give up. Our admiration for you does not stop with ourselves. It transcends generations. We want our children and grandchildren to understand and adopt the qualities that make you great: perseverance, focus, hard work, humility, no excuses, accepting responsibilities for one's own actions, all encompassed by integrity. So it is that you've chosen to leave the game you love so much. And we've loved to watch you love. For 19 incredible years, you've said it's just time. The Utah Jazz, the Delta Center, and the state of Utah will never be the same. But one thing is certain: our lives are better because you were in them. Thank you for teaching us about the nobility of the human spirit. Thank you for the glimpses of perfection you gave us all. We understand somewhat the tuggings you feel to go home to Spokane, but if we were to vote, it likely would be unanimous. We'd have you stay and live amongst us. Having said that, Godspeed to you and your family and everything you do in your life going forward. May life's richest blessings be yours. You deserve them. Gratefully and with love, Jazz fans everywhere, the Jazz organization and each of its associates, Larry H. and Gail Miller and family.
Now it's time to bring up the mother of John's 6 children, his lovely wife, Nada Stockton, who's had her hands full with Samuel today.
Wow, I never thought in my wildest dreams that I'd be standing in front of 20,000 people speaking. I guess I wasn't. That I'd be standing in front of 20,000 people speaking, and that anybody would actually be listening and listening to me. And at home, there's 8 of us, and nobody listens to me. 2, that my palms would be sweaty and my heart would be racing. I owe you an apology, John, for yelling at you during games for missing foul shots. Looking around at all the people, I now realize that you might have been under just a little bit of pressure. I'm getting an idea of what that feels like right now. And 3, when I first stepped off that airplane and arrived in Utah so many years ago, that I would still be here today, having made Salt Lake City my home, and that I would have 6 beautiful children who were all born and raised here. You all have opened your arms and embraced us from the start. What a great feeling. I speak to you today as a fan and also as having seen John's career from a different perspective, that of his wife and mother to his children. As a fan, I have enjoyed every minute of basketball that I have watched in the Salt Palace and in the Delta Center. How the Jazz coaches and players have presented and carried themselves is a tribute to the Utah Jazz organization. The importance of teamwork, working together, winning and losing, and what can be taken from each and used in a positive way has been seen on the hardwood each night, and is the reason why I have taken my family to the games. These are the lessons that my children have learned sitting in Section 5, Row 11 in the Delta Center. As a fan, I thank you. As a wife, thank you to all the Utah Jazz employees for never making me feel like I was just a player's wife. You have been so helpful and generous. To the Delta Center employees who have greeted us for every home game, your waves, smiles, and kindness were greatly appreciated and will never be forgotten. To everyone in the international room, thank you for feeding the whole Stockton clan. You made our jobs much easier. The kids didn't have to clear the table, and I didn't have to do the dishes. I am thankful to Larry and Gail Miller for providing the wives' room, where players, family, and friends could gather, get to know each other, and forge friendships that would last a lifetime. For providing a place where I could change the kids' diapers and put them down for a nap, and where all the kids could play. You have promoted family in this organization, and I am greatly appreciative of that. and to John, who has been a great husband and father. His greatest steal was when he stole my heart, and his greatest assists have been when he has handed each one of our newborn children to me in the hospital. His commitment to me and to each one of our children is never ending. Thank you. As a mother, I think back upon Houston's first game at 6 weeks old in the Salt Palace with his little red tennis shoes. All the trips up and down the stairs to change diapers, the potty training years, the kids getting water from the bench and getting gum from TC. I have washed more clothing with gum in the pockets than they could have ever possibly chewed. And that is because TC couldn't give one piece of gum to the kids. He had to give them the whole pack. I think back to the bear involving the kids in his skits, hitting the refs with blow-up bats. Well, maybe they deserved it. And Michael, at 8 years old, wearing Greg Ostertake's shoes, racing the bear, and all the silly string that landed in our rope because the kids had talked the bear into spraying them just one more time. David's ear-to-ear grin when Carl gave him his wristband. Lindsay and Laura dancing in their seats, and the look of excitement on their faces when they realized they were on the Jumbotron. And the look on Samuel's face when he took his first steps on the Delta Center floor. I am thankful to the fans who made the beautiful baby blankets, not just once, but 6 different times. My children have been warm and safe, cuddled in them at night. To the fans who didn't mind the popcorn in their hair, the spilled drinks, and the constant kicking on the back of their chairs, thank you. Thank you to my children, Houston, Michael, David, Lindsay, Laura, and Samuel, for meeting the challenge every game day. When they were younger, it started out, if you take a good nap, you can go to Daddy's game, and evolved into, if your homework is done, your tests studied for, and your papers written, then you can go to Dad's game. They never let me down. They rose early for school the next day after a late game and came home with work I was proud of. To each one of my boys who reminded me at various times that it was just one missed jumper and to take it easy on Dad. He didn't miss it on purpose. Thanks. God has blessed us with our families, friends, and by bringing us to Utah. When surrounded by good people, good things happen. And that is what has happened here. I thank you for your kindness, generosity, honesty, and loyalty. You have helped shape our lives. You have confirmed what we are trying to teach our children at home, and I will be forever grateful for that. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to bring on the greatest point guard in National Basketball Association history. John Stockton.
Thank you very much. First of all, thanks, Hot Rod. There's no other announcers like you anywhere in the league or in any other league. Great job and thanks. And thanks to all the speakers and presenters for toughing it out and coming up here. All your thoughts are very much appreciated. Again, thanks to all of you for coming out tonight, even if you had to be bribed with hot dogs to do it. After I was drafted back in 1984, I had the chance to meet Frank Layden, and he gave me some sound advice. He said, don't start changing who you are. Don't start growing a beard, changing your hair, wearing jewelry and stuff like that. So I haven't changed a thing. I haven't even changed the length of my shorts. Well, a lot of nice things are being said tonight, and I just want you to know that I'm really not that nice. For example, some of you don't know it, but I was a holdout my very first season. Following the draft, the whole summer progressed on, and the Jazz stuck by their minimum salary, $75,000 a year. That's our final offer. Well, I was a first-round draft choice, and I thought it should be more than that. So I held out a rookie training camp. The Jazz, buckling under the pressure, offered me $80,000. So I was on the next plane the following morning, signed and ready for camp. I was convinced, however, that it would be my one and only year of playing basketball. So as Jerry mentioned, I was very cheap. I found the cheapest one-bedroom furnished apartment in the whole city of Salt Lake. Thurl, you remember this, I never turned the heat on. It is true. I bought cases of my favorite chili from a discount store. I made my mom's lasagna, cut it into portions and put it in the freezer. I used a loaner car, and I made my very first major purchase 4 months later by buying a TV so I could watch the Super Bowl. A lot has happened since then. For example, out of the free agent market, I signed my wife, Nada. She has renewed my contract for the last 16 and a half years, and we have 6 terrific kids I'm proud of. I have played with great teammates, Thurl Bailey, Mark Eaton, Tyrone Corbin, Marcus Ivoroni, Jeff Hornacek, and many, many others, some of whom are here tonight. I've just been very lucky in that regard, so thanks, guys. I've been fortunate enough to play for Jerry Sloan for 15 seasons as a head coach, and even more than that as an assistant. He's a man I greatly admire. Jerry has made it possible for us to be basketball players and then human beings. And in this environment where fame, fortune, and superheroes are promoted, it's been a blessing to just be allowed to come out here and play. Thanks, Jerry. I've also had the opportunity to play 18 years with the best power forward in the history of the game, Karl Malone. He's going to get what he deserves when he has to come up here and do this for himself. But he's a great, great friend of mine, and I'm thankful that we are part of each other's family. Thanks. I've truly been blessed throughout my life. I was born to the best parents a guy could have, Jack and Clemmy Stockton, with great siblings, one of whom's here today, my sister Leanne, but also my brother Steve and sister Stacy. I was fortunate to be born in the great city of Spokane. They supported more activities, tournaments, trips, uniforms, through auctions, raffles. We were always knocking on their door, and they never failed us. So it's a great city as well, and I'm thankful for that. My teachers, coaches, and teammates and friends from St. Aloysius Grade School through Gonzaga Prep, through Gonzaga University, have educated and mentored me while confirming the important lessons I learned at home. I'm grateful for that. It seems like I've always been surrounded by good people. Contrary to popular belief, that did not end when I entered the NBA. I've had the good fortune to get to know many people from the NBA offices, the Olympic offices, and even our own Jazz front office. All of these people help create what you get to see on the court every night. They're very, very good people, and they've helped me immensely. Judy, Dave, Jay, just to mention a few. I could not have played for 19 years without quality people in our coaching staff, in the training room, and in our ownership, and in the stands. I've enjoyed all my conversations with Phil, Gordy, and Kenny, and their friendship. I have received timely help from each member of the medical staff and the trainers, including TC, who has taped me for nearly every game and has kept me in shoes and socks throughout my career. In addition, thank you. In addition, this old body could not have lasted this long without the efforts of Steve DeLong at Gonzaga, who has helped prepare me for every season since I was in college. For Greg Roscoff with his knowledge of biomechanics, and especially Craig Bueller, a man with extraordinary healing ability that spent thousands of hours on me to keep me healthy. Finally, we are here because of the courage of one man, Larry H. Miller. Yes. Larry has risked everything on many occasions just to keep us here. From buying the team, to building this beautiful new arena, to chartering airplanes, to building a new practice facility. Larry has made the Utah Jazz a premier organization in the finest city on the NBA trail. I would like to thank Larry and Gail for their commitment to the Jazz, for holding Samuel, and for your commitment to Salt Lake City. Thank you. As for all of you in the stands and at home watching this on TV, thank you for your years of support for our team. Thank you. I have played in empty arenas, and it isn't much fun. We've never done that here. We've always played to a full house, and it has been a blast. I, for one, appreciate you coming to the games, cheering and participating with class, and riding the roller coaster with the team. Thank you. I'm absolutely honored by today's events. I thank God for letting me live in this great country, the United States of America. And for letting my path cross and crisscross with so many of you throughout this journey. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Stockton. We love you. We thank you all for coming tonight. An appreciation and saluting John Stockton. Unbelievable. God bless you all. God bless John Stockton. Good night. We'll see you next season. Good night, everybody.
The Utah Jazz select John Stockton of Gonzaga University.
He did it! John Stockton! A new NBA assist king. The crowd going crazy.
John Stockton sends the Utah Jazz to the NBA Finals.
John Stockton, stealing time, passing history. On May 2nd, 2003, John Stockton uttered the words, "I think I'm finished. It's time for me to move on." And just like that, the 41-year-old passed on playing another season, promptly ending an improbable 19-year career in the NBA, all of them with the Utah Jazz.
John is the ultimate gym rat.
And he's not doing it for the paycheck, he's doing it for the love of the game.
He is tenacious. He has a problem with losing.
I have heard him defined as the kind of guy who has to beat his 5-year-old kid in ping pong 15 zip every game.
Anything he does well.
It's one of those guys, every team wants a guy like John Stockton.
You never know the guy was a superstar, the way he carries himself, and I like that.
He's very unimposing. When you meet John Stockton, he's like somebody's little brother.
He's never looked like a basketball player, but the shorty shorts, I know he used to hate this. I used to call him John Boy, because he reminded me of, in that TV series, of the Waltons.
I remember my rookie year and actually seeing him at the NBA All-Star game. And I had played against him already. However, when you see him, he doesn't look like a basketball player. So he was walking through the hotel and he had a suit on. He looks like an insurance salesman. And then the second time I see him later on, he says, "Hey, Kenny, how you doing?" And I look, and I thought it was a fan because of his size and his stature. But on the court, you know who he is, you know what he does, and he does it better than anyone's who ever done it at the point guard position.
He's something special. I think of him as the point guard. Perfection.
When you talk about point guard, the classic point guard, that's John Stockton.
John Stockton is a professional basketball player. And when I say that, I mean that he is the guy who you would want your son to play basketball like.
Well, he's the best point guard of all time. I mean, not only what he's been able to do at the peak of his career, but how he's been able to play with such consistency and longevity. It's amazing.
I used to have a coach that always say, make your teammate an all-star, all-pro, and that's what he tried to do every night.
Stockton retired as the NBA's all-time leader in steals and assists. He led the league in assists an astounding 9 straight seasons. 7 of those years, he totaled more than 1,000. His 15,806 career mark is nearly 6,000 more than Mark Jackson, who's number 2 on that list.
The main thing about a point guard is he looks to dish before he looks to swish.
Well, that's the heart and soul of his game, because I associate that with the way the point guard position is played. You know, John comes over half court thinking, how am I going to set something up for one of the other 4 guys, rather than thinking, what am I going to do for myself?
You can't teach what John Stockton can see on the court under pressure.
He not only can see everybody, but he remembers where they are.
Taking a visual picture of where the guys are on the floor, not having to look at a guy to make a play.
He can anticipate when guys are going to be open, and that's a sign of a great passer that can know when a guy is going to be open, know where he likes it, and deliver it there.
He picks you apart. Throws it right by through traffic, 3 guys there. The defense never sees the ball coming. It's right to the guy for a layup. I mean, absolutely unbelievable, marvelous.
When you watch players cut when Stockton has the ball, they've always got their hands up and their eyes on the ball, because you never know when he's going to let it go.
Stockton puts under this big one. Slam dunk.
He sees an opening and he's going to fire it at you. And of course, that's where the old saying, know your customer, comes from, because you know, some guys needed room service passes, as we called them, you know, like come over and hand the ball to you because you're not ready to catch it.
He's the all-time assist leader in steals, and you know, people don't really talk about the steals as much as the assists, but you know, he plays both sides of the court, and that's what makes him a complete player. For him to hold both records is an incredible achievement, and those 2 records will probably be there for a long time.
His instincts as an offensive player, he converted those to defense, and he saw the passes before they were thrown. He anticipated what he would do, and so when the opponent did it, bingo, he had the ball and off he went.
He's a good defender because he gets over those screens and picks with a lot of gusto. He doesn't allow guys to pick him off, and then if he has a mismatch, he doesn't allow a taller player to try to post him inside. So he's working diligently and relentlessly to get inside to stop the play.
He doesn't go out there and play around with the game. He's very serious about it. He's a smart basketball player. You know, everybody say he's dirty, but I think that's wrong. I think that's not a statement for him. I think that they should understand he goes out and play basketball the way he knows how to play, hard.
I tell people all the time, this to me has been like the greatest era of basketball. I got a chance to play against Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, and you put John Stockton right in that group.
John Houston Stockton was born March 26, 1962 in Spokane, Washington, where he grew up the 3rd youngest of 4 children to Jack and Clementine Stockton.
Irish suburban Catholic. 3 words, that's it. Right in this neighborhood.
My dad was born and raised in a house 3 blocks from the house he currently lives in, and we've all been around that little neighborhood our entire lives.
And it was not a wealthy neighborhood. And so families worked hard and they worked together. And I think John has that in him from his family and from his neighborhood.
John's father ran Jack and Dan's, a popular tavern that's a stone's throw away from the Stockton household. When Jack wasn't pouring pints, he was helping raise a tight-knit family.
Things were handled at the appropriate time. he didn't sweat the small stuff. Mom's always been solid as a rock, and again, when you have good parameters and fair parents, it sure seemed easy growing up.
During John's adolescent years, he was close to his sisters, Stacy and Leanne, but it was older brother Steve that John had the strongest bond.
As for my brother and I, we competed. I competed constantly. I think that I'm 4 years younger than him, and it was never very difficult for him to beat me at anything. I spent most of my life just hoping to beat him once at something. I didn't care what it was. Even if I could grow an inch taller than him or throw one strike past him, anything, and I would have been pleased.
If he and Steve mowed the lawn together, they'd figure out a way to compete while they're mowing the lawn. It would become a game to them. And they were that way at shoveling the walks, pacing off and see who could clear how much snow the quickest.
The competition between the two grew more fierce on the family driveway, playing the game they loved.
The backboard was attached to aluminum patio roof, so it was noisy. I mean, it bang, bang, bang constantly. Every night we'd have dinner and they'd go out and shoot hoops.
There were a lot of moments of bloody lips, pretty rugged battles that my parents seemed to ignore.
The games in the driveway were a lot of fun. They were a lot of fun for me early.
If I tried too hard to stop him, then I'd just get pushed into the fence or knocked down, and he'd hold the ball above his head and I'd jump for it and he'd just kind of tease me.
When John and Steve played, there were no rules. They were their own referees, and everything was subject of debate, let's put it that way.
The only rule was there were no rules. And if you made a bucket going to the hoop, you earned it and deserved it. They were pretty nasty.
Can't go left without getting airmailed into the wood fence, and we had the convent next door. You know, and there's been a couple times that the sisters over there had to shut the windows due to some profanity.
And I remember coming in crying a couple times, and my mom wouldn't even stop washing a dish. She'd just say, well, if he's too big, don't play with him. And then I'd run out in the living room and see if Dad would do the same thing. And he said, don't go play with those big kids if they're too tough for you. And a few minutes later, I was out there pestering them again, trying to play.
John's ambitious nature didn't go unnoticed at St. Aloysius Elementary School, where he excelled on the court and in the classroom.
We'd have these mental drills, you know, where you'd say add this number and subtract and multiply and divide, and what's your answer, you know, just in their heads. And his hand would shoot up every time, and he was always right.
With anything, you have to have a leader, and I do distinctly remember John being that leader on the floor. You know, when the ball was in his hands, it was like, you know, there were no worries.
John was a fierce competitor as a small, like 11, 12-year-old kid. John wasn't as good as a lot of the fellas we played in terms of like the left-handed lay-in, the three-point jump shot. But when you walk out of the gym, John's holding the trophy.
Not a great shooter, but an adequate shooter. Not a great driver. He certainly didn't develop his passing until he gained a little bit more size. But really just an overachiever because of his heart.
He's always obviously talented, and you know, he's smart enough to know that when he went out and played with older people or guys a little better than he was at that time, to make sure he got the ball to the right people, and you know, so he picked that up real early.
When I was with kids my own age, they were bigger and stronger and better. A great teammate that I emulated as much as anybody else, Steve Brown, from 6th grade through high school, and just having him on the team raising that bar constantly every day.
John raised his own bar after school one day at an unlikely place.
The biggest thrill he ever gave me, he was in a grade school track meet, and they were having an all-city meet, and I know he never trained for it. He ran the mile. They had a big guy that was, he was it in the mile here. John was putting along behind him the whole thing, and then he buried the guy. And it was the biggest thrill, because I didn't even know he could run the mile. And he broke the city record by 15 seconds.
After St. Al's, John dashed
First impression of John, just a skinny, small kid, not ready to play. You know, looked like a junior high player. They laugh about the priests here would give him a key so he could get into the gym, and he always had, you know, a game going on. And
it's not unrealistic to think that he would spend 5 to 6 hours playing hoop, whether it be in a facility or outside shooting around or bouncing the ball in his room. Or, I mean, he lived for it. It was really what made him tick.
He did a lot of stuff on his own, like dribbling in the basement in the dark. I can remember there's some nuns that live right behind us down there. And one nun came by one night and he's out there with cotton gloves on shooting free throws in the snow. And the nun came up and said, he's going to be something someday.
John's hard work paid off by his sophomore season at Gonzaga Prep when he earned a starting spot on the varsity team. Stockton wasn't flashy, but incredibly efficient.
I yelled at him and I said, hey, can't you be creative a little once in a while? He mumbled, and next time down, he throws a behind-the-back bounce pass to a guy in stride for a layup. And as he runs back by me, he says, is that creative enough, Coach?
Stockton continued to amaze the next couple of years, and by his senior season, John averaged 23 points per contest and had 17 steals in one game. But the 5'10", 145-pound point guard had few college suitors.
When the time came, there were only 2 or 3 Division I teams that recruited me.
John visited us, he visited Montana, he visited Idaho with Don Munson, who really wanted him, and he visited Seattle Pacific.
Carroll College was interested. I think that Montana was interested. And when Gonzaga showed some interest, it was great for John because he wanted to play in his own backyard.
Once I went on the first recruiting trip, I pretty much knew I didn't want to leave home. And the decision was simple. I'd grown up on campus at Gonzaga. It didn't seem that appealing, but it was perfect.
He committed on Easter Sunday. He called my house and he said, Coach Fitz, I'm going to go to Montana. And my heart just dropped because by that time, you know, we felt strongly about him and felt we had to have him. And then he said, when you guys go over and play him, in typical John fashion.
How his career turned out.
I did get a degree in business. That again goes back to you better take care of the necessities, and never, ever in my wildest dreams did I think I'd be playing professional basketball.
Actually, the person who first mentioned him to me was Fran McCarthy, for the coach of Weber State. And this fellow had said, he said,
The Utah Jazz select John Stockton of Gonzaga University.
fully convinced it was the right thing to do. And we drafted him primarily as a backup to Ricky Green, who was an all-star point guard and quite a great player in his own rights.
I'd like to say that I'm very excited at the possibility of playing with the Utah Jazz. They're looking for a point guard to back up Ricky Green. He was an all-star player last year.
Before John could join the Jazz, he first had to sign with them.
Well, he held out a little bit. A lot of people don't realize that. You know, he had a lot of confidence in himself, and he had a lot of moxie. And we tried to sign him for the absolute minimum. And I even threatened him one time and told him, okay, I told his agent that you better get him a road map and an apple, because he's going to be over playing in Italy or Greece or something. He's not going to be playing in the NBA.
The two sides eventually agreed to terms, and John signed a contract worth $80,000, $5,000 more than the league minimum. After that, it was time for the fresh-faced rookie to hit the hard.
This was my one shot.
You know, he didn't look like anything special, just real quiet, really nice guy, just kind of feeling his way around.
I went into camp and I remembered knowing who everybody was, and strangely enough, I remembered calling an old coach at home and saying, hey, they're not that good. That made it fun. I knew that I could at least compete with them. And again, I had no delusions about being a player or getting a chance to play much, but I looked forward to the practices, I looked forward to the drills, and getting to see how you could hold up against some of these guys.
Ricky Green was one of the first people that came and told me, he says, Coach, he says, this is a good one. He said, he's something special.
He was somebody who liked to play the game and was very tough in training camp and got right up in guys' faces and gave Ricky Green all he could handle in practice every day.
Played against him in an exhibition game when I was with the Boston Celtics. And I knew right then that Stockton was going to be good. I had no idea he was going to be as good as he was, and I don't think anybody could have.
There was never any question about his ability to play. The biggest question mark that we had was, would he hold up? And little did we know that he'd hold up as well as he has and played as long as he has.
John's parents were thrilled. Their son had fulfilled a lifelong dream by just making it to the NBA.
I can remember when John was a rookie, in first and second year, my wife used to get in our old Oldsmobile station wagon. If we drove over here about 6 blocks and pointed the car towards Salt Lake City, we could get hot rod, and he'd fade in and fade out, and we'd sit out there in that car, just tickled to death to be able to listen to it, because the Jazz were never broadcast up here.
John's rookie season was a modest one. He averaged 18 minutes, 5 points, and 5 assists per contest.
There's a lot of things that change between NBA and college. Bodies are bigger, they're much faster, much more athletic. They can cover ground with just wingspan. So you had to do things a little bit sooner. You had to pass sooner, you had to make decisions sooner, you have to do things quicker.
You know, at the end of his first year, I said, the difference in you making it in this league, just being another guy and maybe in a couple of years being cut, you have to increase your range, because the way we play and the way we want to get the ball inside, you've got to be a more than adequate three-point shooter. Well, he went home and he took care of that.
Stockton's second season, Utah added rookie Karl Malone. The pair bonded instantly in a game against Houston.
Ralph Sampson was playing on the low side of him. He was on the block, and he was really, really overplaying it. And for some reason, I threw the ball behind Ralph Sampson. So he's leaning out this way, and I threw the ball from behind him. Don't know, to this day, I don't know why I threw it. There was nothing there, it wasn't open. But that instant that I loaded to throw, Karl spun and threw his hand behind Ralph Sampson and laid it up. And I marveled at his end of that. I don't know why I threw it. It wouldn't be construed as a good pass other than it was completed for a layup. It was just an incredible move, and he read something there that forever gave me confidence throwing him just about any pass.
Karl sets the screen, stock left to right, rolls to Karl. He's under, slam it in.
We were pretty good up to a certain point, but when those two came into their own, this franchise just was put on their shoulders.
Perry's back. Great move by Stockton. Oh! Stockton behind his back and the dish to Malone. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen.
Led by Stockton and Malone, Utah won what was then a franchise-best 47 games during the 1987-88 season. In the playoffs, they pushed the defending champion Los Angeles Lakers to a 7-game series in the Western Conference semifinals.
John Stockton was the reason that we played 7 games. He kept his team poised, they were confident, they felt that they had a chance to really beat us, and we only won right at the end in that 7th game.
That was the year that they really arrived as a team, and those two players became the absolute anchors of one of the greatest runs of a team in the history of the NBA.
That run included 5 Midwest Division titles, and in the 1996-97 season, Utah won a franchise record 64 games, reaching heights never seen before in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals against the Houston Rockets.
We had a great comeback.
Stockton, 3-on-2, keeps it, tie game.
That whole last 4 minutes or 5 minutes of that fourth quarter were so improbable.
And Stockton has been the man here in the fourth quarter.
Everything came together.
What's at stake? The Utah Jazz, if they can pull out a victory here, go to the NBA Finals for the first time.
We had a full house in here, as a matter of fact, and Jack was watching it down at the house.
And this place was packed, and I went home so I could watch it because everybody's talking. So I went home and I was sitting in the living room when he shot it all by myself.
All I saw of that game was probably the last minute.
And it's the same play we ran all the time.
So guys want a shot in those situations, usually can step up and make them.
You know, I'm sure that's what every kid in the world dreams about doing that one time. You know? So it was no different for John, I'm sure.
Russell will inbound at half court.
I was in the corner in front of the bench there, and when I saw him with the ball and no one near him, I'm like, oh my God.
Stockton, open three, good! John Stockton sends the Utah Jazz to the NBA Finals.
Well, I was sitting on the bench, so I got a good view of it. When it left his hands, I just got up and started walking to the locker room. I just knew. I mean, I knew the guy was going to make it because he's just ice.
I knew it was in. That's the kind of player that he is. He was not going to be denied that moment.
When he hit that shot, we all screamed so loud that we woke up everybody.
I just went bonkers, and I came down the alley here, which is 2 blocks, and people were standing up, so they knew I'd be coming. And they were, God, it was great. It was really, that was a big thrill for me.
We have never seen this kind of emotion from Stockton and Malone, and finally, their day has come.
He was acting like a little kid. He jumped up and down. He had his fist clenched, and he was just jumping up and down. He was the happiest guy in the world.
It was so much fun just seeing him hit that. And when he started, jumping up and down, we thought, hey, we can do it too.
He made that shot. I was running around the house crazy. Running all over the house. Doing what he did and everything.
It was a special day. You don't see him showing any emotion on the court, and that one was something else.
That was so many things all wrapped up into one. It was our first chance to go to the championship. It was really the first time we'd been able to beat Houston at anything.
I've never really gotten over, my first year I got traded to Houston, and he hit the shot over me to send the Jazz to the finals. It was just a terrific shot.
And what a great moment for the Utah franchise. Their proudest moment ever.
It's got to be the greatest shot in Jazz history in terms of what it meant to the team.
After knocking off Houston to reach the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history, Utah met the defending champion Chicago Bulls. The Bulls led the series 2-1 and had a 5-point lead with just over 2 minutes remaining in Game 4, when Stockton took over once again.
John Stockton with an enormous shot to bring the Jazz within 2.
John then stole the ball from Michael Jordan and was fouled on the fast break, pulling the Jazz even closer from the free throw line. That set up another magical moment in the game's final minute.
Game 4 of the NBA Finals with the Bulls up 2-1. And Jordan comes up court. Stockton fires down on Malone. And the Jazz take a 1-point lead.
John Stockton, you work on this pass your whole life. Stockton, normally so stoic, he says, yeah. 2, 3,
Give him the pogo stick out there.
To me, that's a pass there that I'll remember. Out of all the great ones he's made, I'll remember this one right here probably for the rest of my career because it had to be, like I said, the perfect pass.
With the win, the Jazz evened the series at 2 games apiece, but the Bulls took the next 2 and the title. The following year, Utah and Chicago each won 62 games during the regular season and met one more time for the ultimate prize. Jordan and the Bulls came away with the trophy a second time, taking the series 4-2.
It's not a pleasurable experience, I can assure you that. It's a lot of work to put in and end up like this.
The battles that we had against this team the 2 years in the finals was probably, some of the greatest finals that I've played in because of the fact that, they were just such a tenacity team that, they just kept coming back. And it was 2 years in a row that, we had to beat this team.
Stockton to below.
Stockton to below. You got to be able to say it like it's one word.
Hammer dunk. Stockton to below. At their ever-loving best.
You can't really talk about one in basketball without the other one.
What a wonderful combination. John getting the pick and rolls from the best power forward in the history of basketball. Do they do it well? They do it the best of anybody I've ever seen.
Nobody probably in the history of basketball has run the pick and roll like John and Karl Malone.
It's amazing to watch, especially after all these years when people have seen him do it and still can't stop it.
Scoop it up in here. Pick and roll. Karl Malone.
What a deadly weapon. I mean, it's like the sky hook. It's one of a kind.
It's tough tandem. Two guys that's capable of winning games by themselves. That's at any age. They're the greatest screen roll players I've ever seen in the game.
In terms of a twosome, they've probably, and their skills, have complemented themselves about as well as any two people, given the positions they played, and I suppose they've exploited each other well.
Karl brings the brute strength, the force, and John, the savvy, the passing, the shooting. Those two were lucky to have the opportunity to play with each other for so long.
They're both very blessed that they got a chance to play with each other. They're two guys who, I talk about how they make other players better. They made each other better.
I always resented Karl Malone for getting to play with a point guard that good, because that's all you really want. If you're going to run the floor, like Karl, who's terrific, run the floor every play, you know you're going to get the ball.
One of the great things about Karl Malone is that he might be the best running forward that has ever played the game. And one of the reasons he's such a great running forward is he plays with a point guard who will always give the ball up.
People talk about he and Malone being in the league so many years, but that's okay because they're farther ahead in knowledge of the game and how to play the game than many players ever will be.
When I raise my children, I will raise them and tell them that's who you want to be like. That's how you want to emulate your life. And I think it's a testimony to those two men that a lot of people feel that way.
The Stockton-Malone contribution to the Utah Jazz, I mean, it's just second to nothing in major sports. It's just a great story. These guys have played together for so many years and stayed healthy, and no matter who their teammates are, over the period of 20-odd seasons, these guys have kept this franchise at the top. When you talk about greatness, you have to enter longevity in there, be able to keep your body healthy and to play for many, many years, and nobody's played longer at that position than John Stockton.
You use the phrase freak
of nature, I think would fit him well. Nobody is supposed to be 40 plus years of age and still being able to do the things that he does.
You can take the 24-year-old and play against those guys, and quickness means nothing. It's when you take that burst of speed. How you come off a pick like John and runs it with Carl. He just knows how to basically sucker those other players into doing what he wants them to do. And that's just being a smart player.
It's good to watch him, you know, teach the young guys a few tricks, because all the young guys can come in and run and jump and do all the fancy stuff. And, you know, at the end of the night, you know, he's 5 for 7 with 12 assists, and they can't figure out what happened.
He's the ultimate point guard. I mean, you learn so much from him, you know, when you're playing against him. You know, he's very heady, smart.
He's a basketball genius. In order to do it, as long as he's done it, and as good as he's done it, you have to be smarter than the next guy.
So he's taken care of himself well over the years, and not only physically, but maintained his mental stamina as well.
There were days when I just couldn't seem to get my focus going, or wasn't feeling too good, or my back hurt, or whatever. You just go over and sit by John for a little bit, and all of a sudden you could get yourself dialed back in pretty quickly.
I feel like it's my job to be ready to play every night, and even more than that, I feel like I owe it to my teammates to be ready to play every night. I don't want to let them down. I don't want anybody disappointed in me. I don't want anybody disappointed in our team, and that goes from coaches, teammates, family members, kids, parents, whatever.
John rarely let anyone down. He was an Iron Man, missing just 22 games throughout his career. Stock played in every single game, 17 of his 19 years.
John has a great body. People don't realize, what a good build he has. He's a powerful man.
I never fully get out of shape, and I think a lot of guys get injured trying to get back into shape. They overdo it, and then there's never a layoff again with the long season to get through it.
He's amazing. People have no idea of the things he does to stay in shape.
Whether it be when he's at the lake taking an hour and riding to the top of the mountain, which nobody does. Everybody gets in a four-wheeler or something and goes to the top of the mountain to the lookout post at the ranger station. Well, John doesn't. He gets on his bike and he pedals his butt up there and takes a look around and says how beautiful it is and comes back and tells us about it. But that's the kind of thing that he'll do that nobody really has any idea about. He'll be gone for an hour and a half. What's he doing? I went for a bike ride. He's not going for a bike ride. He's doing something that he knows that's going to help him in the next season or the next week or the next month or maybe the next year. Who knows?
For him to stay healthy and to stay fit and to be as great a player as he's been for so long, and to miss so few games and to play in the playoffs so many years, it's amazing. I mean, he's got to be one of the toughest competitors in all of sports, in the history of all sports.
6'1", 170 pounds. If you asked him to go set a pick on Shaq, he had no problem with it. Whatever it took. That seemed like to be his motto. Whatever it took to win the game, I'll do it. I try to run him over when he tries it with me. He gets up onto you and he gives you a good shot.
Very few guards will go do that. Very few guards will go and sacrifice their body to get their teammate open. They think, well, if I just bring the ball up and get it to the right person, I've done my job. John plays the complete game.
He is so focused on playing, his mind wills his body to heal, or that he just ignores that he's got any pain going on.
Yeah, I don't even know if he feels pain.
John Stockton is tough.
Well, I don't know if you can write the word down and describe anybody else other than John Stockton when it comes to playing the game of basketball.
When he went to the Olympics, he had a broken fibula, and a lot of players, it would have been a way to cop out. I made the Olympic team, but I broke my leg or something. But he continued to compete.
There are a lot of great players in this league, but somehow they seem to get injured or miss games. And John Stockton, you pretty much can pencil in 82 games every year, and you know what you're going to get. And it doesn't matter if he's banged up, if he's sore, if he's hurt. You know he's going to be there, you know he's going to play the minutes, and you know he's going to produce.
If he didn't have his work ethic and his ability to stay focused, he wouldn't be where he is right now.
In a lot of ways, it's as important what you do before you go on the court than it is what you do on the court, because there's a carryover, and I've tried to make myself as prepared as I can, physically, mentally, for every contest, every season.
The mental part of it has been something that John has absolutely surpassed everybody else in.
He gets in the heads of the opponent. I think that through the years, you know, a lot of guys wonder, who is this guy that wears his pants a little bit shorter?
That's a competitor. He's got that fire in his eye.
Tough guy to compete against, a guy who never backed down.
It's a headache, you know, because, you know, it's not a night off. You know, he's going to bring it when he's out there on the floor, and so, you know, he plays hard. He loves the competition. He loves to go against the best.
Stockton's killer instinct was never more evident than at crunch time.
He's got running room. Stockton, grab, hang it up. It's good. It's good. The Jazz win it. The Jazz win it. I can't believe it. 9 seconds left. 8. Stockton right side. Three-pointer. It's good. He did it. He did it. The Jazz win the game.
Stockton on the turn for the win. An incredible play by an incredible player.
Below the screen. Stockton goes right side. He's open. He'll take it for 20. Got it. Stockton hits it.
John's competitive spirit goes far beyond the basketball court.
Will he cheat to win? I don't think he'd cheat to win. But I think he's going to take advantage of the rules.
I've played Pictionary with him where it's the World Championship. I mean, it doesn't matter. If he's going to do it, he's going to try and beat you.
Almost eating dinner, you look over and who's eating faster, you know, and it's like, better get going because you're not going to get another bite.
Players were playing Pop-A-Shot with each other, and it was winner stays on. Well, after we've been playing for a while, this 12-year-old kid in a wheelchair comes up to John and wants to, or comes to the, you know, can I play? You got, yeah, you can. Well, it turns out the kid's pretty good. And it's apparent that he's going to beat John. John gets up and starts blocking his shot. And I thought, wait a minute, there's something wrong with this picture. And then I realized there wasn't really anything wrong with it. It was just a very clear definition of how competitive John Stockton is.
He's very competitive. I have the stitches right across here to prove that. We were playing hockey and we're all out there. It's the kids and parents, and we're both going for the puck, and boom. He won out on that. I ended up on the ice needing a couple stitches, 6 stitches to be exact. He's very competitive, but it is in a very friendly manner. I mean, it's...
Did he help you back up?
Yeah, he did. He did. He brought me to go get my stitches.
John's an average guy. John likes to play softball. He likes to ride four-wheelers. He likes to hang out, likes to swim, water ski.
He's a avid reader. He loves to read about science stuff. He's into natural medicine.
He's one of those guys that irritates you from the standpoint of the day after the season's over, he can go out and shoot 80 on the golf course. You know, you put a bat in his hands, he can start knocking balls over the fence.
I taught English one time. He's kind of a Dickens character, I think, a little bit. And he's kind of steely and he's clever. And I think he's verbally very clever, okay? He's got a great sense of humor and he's highly intelligent.
We're on the bus, we're ready to leave after the game and go to the airport. And Carl Malone's usually the last guy to get on the bus because he's doing all these interviews and whatever. And John will yell at Sloan, and Coach Sloan, he'll say, "Hey, Jerry, we don't need the mailman, let's leave him. We can win without him. Besides that, he's got enough money. Let him buy his own airplane. We'll see him there tomorrow." And about this time, Carl walks on the bus, and John says, "Hey, Carl, all the guys want to leave you." I said, "I'm not going anywhere without the mailman."
He could do my voice pretty good and my inflection.
In India, they worship this body.
And every once in a while, on the bus, we would hear it from the back of the bus coming out, you know, some cliche that I had, you know, and that guy wasn't ready. When we called on him, we pushed his button, but he wasn't ready. And John could imitate that.
Deadly, you're making $1 million a year. Griffith, you're making 500,000, 300,000, 600,000. What's Larry Bird worth? 18 million, 20 million? He's kicking our butts.
He was trying to motivate us. We were down by 20, so we went out and lost by 30.
Shy is not even a word that you would use to describe him.
And our kids, he's not Uncle John, the NBA player. He's Uncle John they call Uncle Fun.
Always, willing to have fun, always willing to help out. He's always there for you.
He helps me out a lot with basketball. He really helps me out a lot in homework.
He takes us to the lake every summer in Spokane, and then we drive out to the lake, and he reads to us every night.
John's love for basketball is exceeded only by the love for his family.
My kids, it's all about them. John is so focused and stays on his course, and his family became a priority, and even over a priority over the NBA.
If he had to bounce around and pick up his family, that would be almost, I won't say entirely unacceptable, almost unacceptable to him, because he is deeply rooted in the family.
A day that's not a game day, he's up at 7 o'clock taking Houston off to school. Then he comes back, he takes all the rest of the kids to school that starts at 8:20, comes back home, he gets Samuel his breakfast every once in a while, and off he goes to practice. And I think that right there tells you what kind of guy he is, what kind of family man he is.
It's a family that John shielded from the NBA spotlight.
I know we've done the right thing. I look at our kids and you can see that. We've raised them in the most normal environment that we can.
He's real concerned about growing up in a famous world. He just doesn't want his kids to do that. And so he goes into his little cocoon and he really protects himself.
Incredibly proud of him, how he's handled himself as a basketball player, how he's handled himself as a parent, as a father to those darling kids.
Honestly, just simply wanted to play basketball and go home and be with his family, and it's a job like any other job from that standpoint.
The travel and being away from his family, and that thing has been, that's the hardest thing on him. As far as the playing and stuff like that, he could do that for a long time. So I thought that he wouldn't have lasted as long as he has because of just the time frame away from his family.
John's NBA journey may now be over, but he won't be far from the game.
Probably be coaching football, basketball, and baseball, soccer, girls soccer, whatever. I don't know. I've enjoyed that with my kids. And I think I'd enjoy it even if it wasn't my kids. It's just a great opportunity to take what I've learned and really, I think, do it the right way.
The Spokane community has already reaped the benefits from Stockton's generosity. In November of 2002, he opened the Warehouse, a 40,000 square foot sports complex that sits just across the street from Gonzaga. The facility features 5 basketball courts, which includes an old Delta Center floor and a state-of-the-art baseball practice area.
I've died and gone to heaven. This has been a tremendous windfall for not only Gonzaga baseball, but for our whole community.
We get just people that come by on a daily basis saying, wow, what a nice thing that John did. And I think people are genuinely excited. I know the little kids that play in here are, the adults that come in, and I'd say, I think, safely say that the community is excited about it.
He's one of a kind.
A guy that just got it done, never flashy.
Choir boy with Mike Tyson's punch.
Playing against John Stockton would be like painting against Picasso. He's the best at it.
I think he's a dying breed, especially at the point guard position.
I think John's, over the years, has had the kind of respect that he's kind of set a standard for what the point guard position is all about.
I don't think anyone, will come along with that type of stamina and can do it, with that type of perfection for this long.
A guy who probably controlled a team and a game better than anybody I've ever seen.
Very pesty, but probably one of the greatest players that ever played the game in his position. That's on both ends of the court.
So they talk about records that'll never be broken. I think John's assist record will never be broken. I don't think there's a chance that'll even happen.
I have so much respect for this guy, his approach to the game, the way he did it, his court carriage.
One of the greatest point guards to ever play the game, toughness, hard working.
And every time that I would play against him, I used to tell my boys, watch the game tonight. I don't care if other games you watch, but you watch John Stockton play.
Doesn't care who gets the credit and is just there for the team. That's his sole function out there, is to help the team win games. And that caliber of unselfishness and skills in the same package is I think, an incredibly powerful thing that it'll be a while before
That's about fifth.
It looks like every guy that you went to school with, you think that was a pretty good guy. And I think that oftentimes the one thing that never comes up is how much ability he has.
His success on the basketball court, made him notable around the world, basically. But, to us here, he's just a very nice man.
It's great to see a friend of yours succeed to the level he has and know that he's done it right.
The best that ever played the game at his position. That's the first thing I think of.
Perfection. He is the Michelangelo of point guards.
He makes plays look so easy, but on the other hand, when you have asked some other people to try to do that, that's impossible.
There's no question in my mind, if you say one of the top point guards to ever play this game, John Stockton's name is going to be there because he is. I mean, he's proven it.
If any guy out there in high school, junior high, wants to play the point guard position, they should try to be like John Stockton.
Great player. I mean, great guy too. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, as everybody know, and I admire him a lot.
If you had told me that someday he was going to be a Hall of Famer, an Olympic champion, saying the best point guard that ever lived, then I would have said you're a liar, because nobody knew that.
All the cliches, all the trite things you say, they're true about John Stockton. He's a better person than he is a player. He plays basketball the way it's supposed to be played, and he's one of those guys who makes his teammates better, and there's not a lot of people you can say that about.
I've got to know John, number one, as a man, as a father, as a husband. I consider him a friend, but I got great memories of the best point guard to ever play the game.
I just hope that the NBA have appreciated what a guy is trying to do for all these years, undersized, they say, and all of that. From a little town, and he wasn't fast enough. He never crossed anybody over between the legs, behind the back. He just played the game like he's supposed to play it.
I'm not sure we'll ever see a guy that has all those attributes, but we hope for the sake of basketball there is, because I think that's what basketball
that I'd get one shot at it, that I'd get to try out for a team at some point in time, and I thought that my career would be complete at that point.
If a person were going to try to quantify accurately what John Stockton's meant to the Jazz over his career, it would be an exercise in futility. I think there is no way
that have won championships that haven't had to work very hard at it, and we've worked very hard and haven't done it, and yet I feel a lot of reward out of the effort that it took to compete for that.
John Stockton. We all have different memories. We all have a different image. Good evening, everybody. And for the next hour, we're going to explore John Stockton as much as, well, he's allowed us to over his very private and public at the same time career. And with me, two individuals who have unique perspective. First of all, Larry Miller is the owner of the Utah Jazz, who's had the pleasure of his company professionally and privately, and Jeff Hornacek, who has the unique perspective of viewing him both as an opponent and then as a teammate. And I'm sure that the emotions were 180 degrees opposite as those two situations were as well. Also, we had anticipated, for those of you who had anticipated Karl Malone joining us tonight, apparently that was not to be. It has been an emotional weekend, and Larry, that's not going to be able to be achieved tonight.
Well, it's really not. I got a hold of Karl yesterday and asked, I said, Karl, you need to be on this show because you've been such a part of John's career and he of yours. So would you be willing to do it? And his first reaction was, I'd love to. And as he's had a chance to think about it over 24 hours, he's just still kind of having struggled sorting his feelings out about it and so on, and felt that he probably would serve both John and himself well by not being here. So we'll hope that that all gets worked out in the next few days.
He will be missed tonight, but nevertheless, we will plod on because we have a great hour in store for you. And perhaps to set the scene, we should go back to 2:57. I remember the moment on Friday afternoon when John Stockton emerged from the Delta Center and from the meeting with Larry Miller and surprised all of us, I think. Maybe not with what was said or what was not said, but certainly the timing of it.
I think I'm finished. So yeah, that's I informed those guys, and that's the direction I'm headed. So.
And with that, that was about as definitive as it got, guys. But and I know both of you. You obviously knew ahead of time, Larry. Jeff, you knew later because you were not there when it was announced either as well. Did the timing surprise either one of you or both of you?
It surprised me. You know, I think he probably was thinking about it, and I thought if he did decide to retire, it was going to be maybe in a couple weeks after he thought about it. So I actually got a call on the phone in the car on the phone saying, "Did you hear that John retired?" And I had his daughter in the car. I had to turn around and say, "Well, did your dad announce something today?" And she shook her head, "Yeah." So that's when I found out, and I was surprised. Maybe not that he was retiring, but that it was so soon.
Well, on that morning, Friday morning, he called me in my car and said, "Can you and I get together?" That's not a particularly unusual request because 4, 5, 6 times a year I'll get that call, but can we meet in the next week? Or I have this project I'm working on, I want your advice on, something like that. So I said, sure. When were you thinking? He says, right now. So I said, how far are you from my office? And he said, about 10 minutes. I said, that's about what I am. I'll meet you there. So I got there and I said to Marilyn, John's going to be coming in any moment, and I'll just keep the decks cleared until he gets here. And it wasn't but 5 minutes. He came in and sat down. It was a little after 9:15. And we had kind of the how's the weather, how's the family kind of thing. Excuse me. And he said, well, I'm just going to lay it right out. I'm thinking of retiring. And I said, okay. Do you want to talk about it a little bit? And he says, yeah. And he says, but he said something really interesting, Steve. He said, and I didn't understand it the first time he said it. He said, I'm going to talk to about 5 people. My dad, Carl, Kevin O'Connor, Jerry Sloan, and yourself. And I want to see if you guys can talk me out of it. And any of you can talk me out of it. And I didn't understand what he meant by that. He wasn't asking to be, well, we need you, we want you kind of thing. He said, as we went on in the conversation, he said, I've really thought through this. It's not a spur of the moment thing. I know it looks like it, but I think I've included all the elements in the equation that I should. So I want to see if any of you, whose judgment I trust, can think of something that I've overlooked, so that before I go full-blown public with it and cast it in concrete, that I should reconsider my decision. By the time we spent an hour and a half, by the time we got done, he had said to me 3 times, "It's just time." And I said, "I agree with you."
Well, let's go back, because that was the end, obviously, on Friday to the career. But let's go back to the beginning of this thing and the surprise, I guess, in a lot of quarters, that John Stockton was taken by the Utah Jazz, because there were many in the country who said, "Who is this guy?" Well, at Gonzaga University, they obviously knew who he was, and John knew what he wanted when he came to the NBA.
I'd like to say that I'm very excited at the possibility of playing with the Utah Jazz. And I'm very thankful to everybody here at Gonzaga, some players back here, the coaches, the staff. The sounds of it, I think that...
Yeah, that's what you got. You got a pretty good backup guy, played a few minutes in spelling Ricky Green.
Boy, he looked like a young pup, didn't he? That was great. That's good footage right there.
You know what amazes me is when John was announced as the selection, the boos in the Old Salt Palace that accompanied it. But I can't find anybody who will fess up that they booed. It's like when Richard Nixon was disgraced at Watergate. They said, "Well, I didn't vote for him." Well, nobody booed, apparently, John Stockton. So I just, I wonder who those people are. If they all moved or died or whatever. But it was not a popular selection.
Yep, it really wasn't. And that's the first one in the series, I think, that led Frank to comment every draft year, Frank Layden, to say, well, if they boo us, we're okay. If they applaud the choice, we're in trouble. Luther Wright got applauded, for example.
Well, it's probably good to have that juxtapositioning. All right, well, let's go back to June 19th, 1984. The Utah Jazz did select what was regarded a small, skinny point guard from Gonzaga with the 16th pick in that NBA draft, and little did anybody know that the franchise would never be the same.
Never, ever in my wildest dreams did I think I'd be playing professional basketball. When I was a projected 4th or 5th round.
The Utah Jazz select John Stockton of Gonzaga University.
Yes, I was not fully convinced it was the right thing to do. When we drafted him primarily
to try to play well. This was my one shot. I went into camp and I remembered knowing who everybody was, and strangely enough, I remembered calling an old coach at home and saying, "Hey, they're not that good."
Ricky Green was one of the first people that came and told me. He says, "Coach," he says, "this is a good one." And he said, "He's something special."
There was never any question about his ability to play. The biggest question mark that we had was, would he hold up? And little did we know that he'd hold up as well as he has and played as long as he has.
And John's parents have enjoyed every minute of it.
I can remember when John was a rookie, in first and second year, my wife used to get in our old Oldsmobile station wagon. If we drove over here about 6 blocks and pointed the car toward Salt Lake City, we could get hot rod, and he'd fade in and fade out, and we'd sit out there in that car, just tickled to death to be able to listen to it, because the Jazz were never broadcast up here.
Little did Jack know that it wasn't the reception that got Hot Rod to fade in and fade out. He's been doing that for a long time. Hey, Jeff, talk to me then about playing against John in those early years. Stockton and Malone, the twosome, I said at the start, I would imagine that your feelings for towards John changed significantly from opponent to teammate. What about as an opponent?
Couldn't stand him. He's one of those guys that when you went out there and played against, you knew it was a battle. I think when you're undersized and you're not expected to, be one of these guys who gets all the calls, you learn to do little things. And John knew exactly how to get open, how to drive by you. I said for years that John was, even before I played with him, he was the best I've ever seen at getting over a pick and roll, a screen. I was terrible at it. We used to laugh in Phoenix with Kevin Johnson. So I never seen a guy, when a guy goes to set a pick, his ability to get over that pick was better than anybody I've ever seen. And that was something I'm not sure it's ever been talked about, but that was one thing I noticed. And one thing we saw earlier on that tape, which I doubt John had ever admitted something like that, but when he said the comment, I called one of my coaches, said, "These guys aren't that good." I can guarantee in that first year when he stepped on the court, he wasn't thinking he was going to be a backup. He was saying, "I'm going to be a starter on this team." And I'm not sure if he will ever say that, but that's the type of competitor he was. And I know that was probably going through his mind back then, that I'm going to be a starter on this team.
Well, he hasn't had a lot of things that didn't go his way over the years. Obviously, the 97-98 finals didn't. But one of the things that didn't go his way was 1984. And we will come back. We'll talk more about that as our hour progresses as we look back on the career of John Stockton.
I can remember there's some nuns that live right behind us down there. And one nun came by one night, and he's out there with cotton gloves on shooting free throws in the snow. And the nun came up and said, he's going to be something someday.
The first time I met John was we both got cut from the Olympic team in '84. We rode to the airport together. It was kind of weird because it was me, Karl Malone, Terry Porter, and you think like, wow, and then you see how his career turned out.
Well, that was one of the first disappointments, and maybe one of the only disappointments of John Stockton's career. But guys, that was probably the first pairing of John Stockton and Karl Malone in a car with Terry Porter and Charles Barkley. Go figure that one.
It's an interesting group, isn't it?
Well, he didn't make the '84 team, but obviously he did make a couple of dream teams, and that's when the dream team truly was a dream team. You had Michael Jordan, Barkley was on that, and of course John and Karl. And you know, not only for the individual, but the honor of representing your country, especially on that dream team, had to be something special. Larry, from an organizational standpoint, to have two guys that were there from the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, it just, but you say that about John and Karl all the way along, is how fortunate we were to have two guys like that have those great careers parallel and on one team and be able to represent them. And I don't mean to embarrass Jeff, but for 7 years he was part of what then became a triangle or a triumvirate, and I just can't even imagine ever having that again.
Well, and of course in Barcelona, we had an opportunity to see John, and we'll talk about this in just a moment, his sense of humor. But in Barcelona, he wore a microphone and took a camera, a home video camera around for NBA entertainment, and it provided some pretty interesting moments for the viewer.
At Barcelona, the Utah point guard had little trouble escaping the spotlight that followed most of his high-profile teammates. In fact, the six-time All-Star's appearance in public was so ordinary, he easily passed for an average tourist and hardly a member of the greatest Olympic basketball team ever.
Really not much different from Michael Jordan walking through here. Hi.
Hi.
Are you an American?
But of course.
You look wonderful.
Why, thank you.
You like the dream team, huh?
Of course. We met Charles Barkley the other night.
Did you? He's a hell of a player. See, you got all the players right there on your shirt. Is Charles the only one you've ever seen?
The only one I've ever met.
Hey, guys, do you know any of those guys on there?
You know, that is Michael Jordan.
Where? Who? Who's that?
That's my dad.
That's your dad? Too bad he's not here.
You play on
I do, yeah.
Who is that guy?
We're making a point that nobody ever recognized you. I hate this. I can't go anywhere without being bugged.
I'm not a real exciting player, I don't think. I try to get the job done, but I guess I don't have much flair, which that doesn't bother me. It doesn't really bother me if people don't want to do interviews or whatever. So I'm pretty much going to go on about life and be happy just going home and playing with the kids.
Well, and that is John, but you know, the sense of humor. I had a guy ask me the other day, he said, does John Stockton ever smile? He said, because besides a couple of game-winning baskets, I never see any smile out of this guy. He couldn't be further from the truth, could he? Because this guy, John Stockton, has a sense of humor that if you turn your back on him for a minute, you're in trouble.
Well, he was always entertaining on the bus rides, plane rides. It goes all the way to, we took our 8th graders last year on a retreat, and the parents had to put a little skit on, and John imitated the parish priest a little bit too. So you know, you see him on the court, how serious he is, how he likes to just compete and get after it, but then off the court, he's a jokester, like, you know, no one really knows about.
See, Larry, truly nothing is sacred then with John, I guess. Well, if he's doing the parish priest imitation.
It's really not, but you know, and there's a lot of instances, but he loves to win, as we all know. So he smiles a lot in the locker room after. But the one thing that popped in my mind about it was about 6 or 7 years ago, before we went to full chartering. He was back in getting his ankles iced after a game with Karl, just the two of them there, and I was there with him, but they were playing like I wasn't. And he's there, this is the kind of stuff Jeff alludes to. He says, Karl, how many more years do you think we could play if we chartered all the flights? And Karl says, oh, I don't know, probably another 10 or 12. But John says, I think it'd be 15 easy. So he's back there goading me to charter the flights, which we did the next year, by the way.
You know, this year we got a glimpse of it, and I don't know the game, I think it was the Toronto game, but Matt Harpring had fouled out. It was the Knicks game. Matt Harpring had fouled out, and he's on the bench, and he was, I mean, Matt Harpring has got, look at the stoic face, he's ticked. And look at John. And they're just trying to get him to lighten up. And It's not working. I mean, it absolutely isn't working. Harpring's explaining that I didn't commit the foul. I didn't commit the foul. So, but that's the John Stockton that we rarely ever got a glimpse of. But you guys did, certainly as an owner and as a teammate. Horny, that's John, right? He's not gonna leave any scab unpicked.
No, that was pretty funny watching that with Matt, but he did that throughout the 6.5 years I was here, and he was the quiet team leader in terms of keeping everyone kind of on their toes and keeping everything kind of that light feeling when you're off the court.
But he was also the little stiletto. He was the knife that went in under the radar. Now, as a stand-up comedian, I'll tell you, this is a rare piece of tape, but you got to watch this. I don't know that John wants to quit, I would say, his day job or his night job now, but he doesn't have one. But if he's going to the comedy club, he's going to have to polish his routine. This is from, well, it's a few years ago, as you'll see by the audience, but this is John Stockton's stand-up routine.
I remember one time we were playing the Celtics down at BYU, and it was some kind of game. The Celtics were really working us over, and Larry Bird was playing a well of a game, and I think some of the guys out here remember him coming into the locker room. He stormed in there and just started pointing at guys. Dantley, you're making $1 million a year. Griffith, you're making 500,000, 300,000, 600,000. What's Larry Bird worth? 18 million, 20 million? He's kicking our butts. He was trying to motivate us. We were down by 20, so we went out and lost by 30. It was real.
So, I mean, the guy just succeeds at whatever he does. That was a roast of Frank a long time ago, but John, you got a glimpse again of the sense of humor. Now, of course, Frank retired as the coach and Jerry Sloan took over, and what has John Stockton meant to Jerry Sloan? Well, it's probably hard to synthesize, but we talked to Jerry, and he had some comments and some reflections on John's career.
Well, Coach, you joined the Utah Jazz coaching staff in 1984, which just happened to be John Stockton's rookie year. So you coached him as an assistant coach or a head coach for his entire career. So Friday afternoon when he came into your office to tell you that he was done, he was retiring, what was that like?
Well, it was kind of like John, to be honest about it. He came in and said, we want to talk to him, and he was real upbeat about it. And I kind of figured something was up because he very seldom ever talked to me prior to a meeting that he just had, we're getting ready to have. And he just said that I think I've had it. And they mentioned a couple other things and decided that he should go on and not play anymore.
What was your first impression of John back in 1984?
Couldn't hold up. It's a bad one. It's a bad impression to think back. Frank and I both said, could this guy hold up and play 48 minutes in the NBA on a consistent basis? Because he looked like he probably might not be able to. Ricky Green was ahead of him, wasn't much bigger and much more physical than John at that particular time, but that's just one of the things that you thought about and wondered about him, but he hardly ever broke a sweat.
What amazed you the most about John throughout his career?
Probably the thing that his ability to concentrate. I mean, he's unbelievable, has an unbelievable knack of being able to. It always amazed me that you'd tell him what to do and he never asked, what are we doing? You know, he would be someone that everybody would run to and ask John, so what are we doing?
Is there a memory or two that stands out for you from his career?
Just about every day there was something that stands out with John because of what it became at the end of his career whenever he knew it was difficult for him to go out there and play, and he could go out there and try to rev himself up and say to himself, I'm going to have a good practice today, some way, somehow, even knowing that he probably didn't need to work. And early part of the stages where he would go out there and try to play and try to do everything in the world. And I always said, he never played the game backwards. Every single play, he seemed to be headed forward. If he made a mistake, somebody beat him, he would always, it wouldn't affect his demeanor out there on the floor. He'd just keep coming at you. And you'd have to cut his arms and legs off to keep him from doing that.
What's John's legacy to the game of basketball, do you feel?
Well, it'll be interesting to see how people recognize John. I just think hope he's recognized one of
great guards to ever play this game because of his dedication, what the game means to him, how he's approached the game every day. That probably is, I'd say those things are what he's all about.
Well, it's a guy who spent a lot of time with him, and he's probably right. You know, you look at the work ethic, and you know, I don't think we have any concept, Jeff, of what you guys go through on a daily basis. We see you play 82 games a night, and you know, and we see big salaries, and we see, you know, all the trappings that go with it. But practice is where it's really done, I guess. And you know, to come out and practice when you guys reach a certain level in your career and be able to put out is pretty unique.
I think that's where coaches see the guys that stand out. There are guys that might be a little bit better in games than they are in practices. Occasionally you get that guy. A lot of times the guys are better in practice than the games. But John played practice just like it was a game. We were talking the other day on, was one of the practices, I think it was after game 2 against Sacramento, and they had a practice and they had a little 6-minute scrimmage, and Carl with his back, he was out of the practice, and the starting group, I think they were down by about 12 points with 2 minutes to go in this little scrimmage. It was like 17-5. And all of a sudden, John comes down, shoots a 3. Comes down, shoots a 3. Drives to the basket, gets fouled. All of a sudden, the scrimmage ends up tied. And that's, you know, that was the competitor that John was. Even in practice, when he could have just said, okay, let's get these 2 minutes over with, practice will be over. He wanted to try to come back and win that scrimmage, and he did that all the time.
And Larry, the great story, we went to Spokane, probably now 8 or 10 years ago to do some kind of special on John. And the stories that came out of Gonzaga were the summer, he would play pickup games against high school kids and college players and just local guys and get into fights in the gym at Gonzaga in the summer because, just as you said, Jeff, he's not going to lose. I mean, if you put the uniform on, you have an obligation to try and win.
Well, let me tell you, when I realized, I'd heard somebody describe him as the kind of guy who needed to beat his 5-year-old kid in ping pong 15-0 every time. When I saw that was in that great series we had against the Lakers in '87 or '88 when we were down there. We were down there, I think, for game 4 or 5, and it was an off day because we were playing every other day, and so we were at the pool, and they had a pop-a-shot game there, and you get 1 point in the first 15 seconds and 2 points for each basket made in the last 15 seconds, and if you score in the low 30s, it's pretty tough. So they're watching us play a couple of kids nearby, and this 12-year-old in a wheelchair comes up. He says, "Can I play with you guys?" And the winner stays on, by the way. So we said sure. So they put the quarter in and started playing the next game, and John scored 31. This kid scored 33. John scored 34. So they were playing horse. Well, finally, it gets apparent as they're going down at 15, 20 minutes into this kid's going to beat John. So he's up blocking this kid's shot. And I thought, that guy's got a competitive instinct because John would no sooner embarrass a 12-year-old kid, you know, than fly to the moon. And here he is. He can't stand to lose, so he's blocking the kid's shot.
Well, it's not just on the floor because as a take-charge guy and a point guard, John believed he had to run everything. And that extends to the domestic side as well. Listen up. We'll be back.
Whatever he does, he wants to be the best at it, or at least give it 110%, like the ad says, but it's so true when it comes to John, because, you know, if he's unloading the dishwasher, he'll unload the dishwasher and then he'll say, you know, Nada, he did do this to me one time. I was gone, he unloaded the dishwasher, and when I came home, he had rearranged the kitchen. He felt the cups should be someplace else, the fork should be switched over in the silverware tray, because he felt that there was a better way to do it, a more efficient way to do it.
It looks like every guy that you went to school with, you think that was a pretty good guy. And I think that oftentimes the one thing that never comes up is how much ability he has.
I always hoped that I'd get one shot at it, that I'd get to try out for a team at some point in time, and I thought that my career would be complete at that point.
His success on the basketball court, you know, made him notable around the world, basically. But, you know, to us here, he's just a very nice man.
It's great to see a friend of yours succeed to the level he has and know that he's done it right.
In this day and age where we're looking for people to emulate, John is the kind of guy you want to put on a pedestal and say, this is the guy you want to be like.
Well, I'll tell you what it means more to me than all the basketball in the world is the kind of person he is.
The most amazing thing is how he's been able to balance his family in the NBA limelight.
the best that ever played the game at his position.
Perfection. You know, he is the Michelangelo of point guards.
He makes plays look so easy, but on the other hand, when you have asked some other people to try to do that, that's impossible.
There's no question in my mind, if you say one of the top point guards to ever play this game, John Stockton's name is going to be there, because he is. I mean, he's proven it.
If any guy out there in high school, junior high, wants to play the point guard position, they should try to be like John Stockton.
He's a basketball genius. I think in order to do it, as long as he's done it, and as good as he's done it, you have to be smarter than the next guy. And I think that is what has gotten him to the point where he is now.
Great player. I mean, great guy too. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, as everybody know, and I admire him a lot. I think at the age he is right now and still being in great shape that he is, that just tell you about something about him and about how competitive he can be.
I feel like it's my job to be ready to play every night, and even more than that, I feel like I owe it to my teammates to be ready to play every night.
They talk about records that'll never be broken. I think John's assist record will never be broken. I don't think there's a chance that'll even happen.
I'm not sure we'll ever see a guy that has all those attributes, but we hope we hope for the sake of basketball there is, because I think that's what basketball needs, more John Stocktons. If a person were going to try to quantify accurately what John Stockton's meant to the Jazz over his career, it would be an exercise in futility. I think there is no way to measure what John's meant to the Jazz.
Welcome back, everybody, to our hour special with looking at the life of John Stockton as a basketball player and as a person as well. And of course, our panel here, two guys that know him well, good friend Jeff Hornacek and former teammate, as well as former opponent, as we pointed out, and owner Larry Miller. Jeff, I want to ask you, part of that was talking about the balancing act between being an NBA player and being a family man, and I don't think any of us can really appreciate that balancing act. I know that the times when I would travel with you guys, you were constantly calling home. To be centered with your family and who you are is very difficult out on the road, but you guys were able to do it, and I sense that you were able to help one another do it as well.
Well, it was a tough thing when you have a family where, you know, when you go back home, there's a lot of demands. You need to be with them, spend time with them, you know, feel guilty that you've been on the road and you want to spend a lot of time with them. When you get on the road, it was probably a benefit, strictly because you're, like you said, you're talking to them on the phone, you're seeing how their day went, what's going on in their classes, and keeps you from really boredom or going out and doing something stupid. But you know, John was that type of guy where the same effort he put into basketball, he tried to put in as a father. And you know, a lot of times people might think that it was tougher, but it probably actually helps you. It keeps you grounded, keeps you knowing that, hey, I need to go do my job, but then when I get home, I got to spend time with the family. And it's a little bit of a tough balancing act, but you know, John's been able to do it.
And now he's going to make that balancing act with retirement, which is not the easiest thing in the world either. From guys I've talked to who have gone through it, that requires some balance as well. It's a different side of the coin.
More driving duties for him.
That's good.
Especially with 6 kids he's got.
That's right. He's going to have to take a lot of them.
Place.
Well, that's good. He gets frequent driver miles on that one. Larry, you know, when you hear those accolades coming from, I mean, some of the biggest names in the history of the game and around the league, it's just a reinforcement, obviously. And I know from an organizational standpoint, you know, drafting good people, quote unquote, and however nebulous that decision is, but that's something that, you know, you've tried to do. And, you know, when you surround the organization with people like that, you get a lot less problems than some of these other teams have had.
Well, absolutely. And we've been very fortunate over the years to have a minimal amount of it. We've had a little bit creep in on the fringes from here and there, but never in one of our key players. And John has just epitomized that. And that's probably one of the things that scares me about looking to the future. He's set such an example for everybody on the team and in the locker room. You know, who follows John Stockton in that role? You know, Carl and Jeff have been there by his side for a number of years, but boy, he's as they said recently, they broke the mold after he came along, and so I worry about the future of our team in that regard. We're just going to have to get lucky and find somebody with a lot of character.
Well, we talk about the numbers on the floor as well, you know, and those numbers have been printed in the newspaper and talked about on television over the last several days. But we tried to put together kind of those highlights of big moments in John's career. So we'll look at those, and then we'll look at the numbers, and they are astounding.
set the screen. Stockton left right. Rolls to Carl. He's under. Slam it in with the left hand. Inside low left area. Williams.
And Stockton has been the man here in the fourth quarter.
Stockton down the middle. Left side of below for the layup. Score.
All right, and here are the look at the numbers together. And 15-8-06, but as you said, Larry, the games played with one team, 15-5-04, and 17 complete seasons, not missing a game out of the 19 years that he was in the league. I mean, that is astronomical.
It is, and I'll tell you another one that I think should be on there that isn't is the most. He's got 9 years as career assist leader, but in the history of the NBA, I think there are 8 seasons where people had 1,000. Isaiah Thomas had 1,000 one year. Kevin Porter, not Kevin Porter, but for somebody for Philly, I think had maybe it was Kevin Porter had 1,000 once, and John 6 times. And that one of those years, I think in '92, he averaged 14.5 or 14.6 assists a game. I mean, there's just so many numbers. Where do you start and where do you stop? It's just, again, it's tough to quantify.
Let's talk about the finals years, 97-98. First time, obviously, the shot to get the Jazz to the finals. But that first final series with the Bulls, pretty rarefied air, Michael Jordan. And in Game 4 in particular, a game that everybody thought the Jazz were going to lose. We've got to look at, I think, 3 big plays from that game that show John Stockton and the versatility of John Stockton, the kind of things that he was able to do, and you guys did as a team. From the individual to the assist side of things. I mean, I remember being here during that night, and it was one of the all-time most electrifying nights in sports. But Jeff, this kind of got you guys started, and you watch this, and then I think there's the touchdown pass, as it's been dubbed, right here.
I like his reaction when let's see if they show it here, and there you go.
That's one of the few times that people said, "Does he ever smile?" Right? Can you talk to me about about the emotion of those 2 series, Jeff?
Well, it was the first time for all of us to be in the finals, so it was a time when we were all excited to be there. I think the first time around, we expected to win. We wanted to win. When it was all over with, we said they were the better team.
But not the second year.
The second year was tough. We felt we were the better team. We can go back and look at the layoff that probably hurt us. I think we had 10 days off before that series, and we played well, but we weren't as sharp as we were before that. So that was a tough year to take. But we had some good runs at it, and John obviously was a big part of that with all the big plays that he made.
Well, these guys were the big 3, Larry, with John and Carl and Jeff. But from a franchise standpoint, that first year as an owner, because you've been through it for 10 or 12 years at that point in time, and you finally get to the top of the mountain. It had to be rewarding, and to see the guys who had been there since the start.
Exactly, it really was, and to try every year to say, okay, now we got to fill this hole or build on this, and then to get there, get to the finals, and especially the 2 years in a row. Obviously, the Bulls were a great team, but as Jeff said, we did think in '98 we had the better team and still couldn't pull it off. So that was a disappointment, but what a great ride it was those 2 years.
Well, it certainly was a great team moment, but how about the greatest individual moment and team moment in Jazz history? When we return, we'll show you that as we go to break. Some other great moments from the career of John Stockton.
Streak off of here and go down the side. They do. Stock's got it. He's got running room. Stockton, grab, hang it up. It's good. It's good. The Jazz win it. The Jazz win it. I can't believe it. The Jazz win it. An unbelievable finish.
Well, here we go. Final 2 seconds. Stockton on the turn for the win. Oh, my.
Russell looking. Russell inbounds to Stockton a midcourt. Below the screen. Stockton goes right side. He's open. He'll take it for 20. Got it. Stockton hits it. Jazz take the lead. 7/10 of 1 second left in the game. John Stockton.
Welcome back to our John Stockton special, everybody. To fans, players, coaches, owner, everybody associated with the Utah Jazz franchise, it is simply known as The Shot.
We had a great comeback.
Stockton, 3-on-2, keeps it. Tie game.
That whole last 4 minutes or 5 minutes of that fourth quarter were so improbable.
And Stockton has been the man here in the fourth quarter.
Everything came together.
What's at stake? The Utah Jazz, if they can pull out a victory here, go to the NBA Finals for the first time.
We had a full house in here, as a matter of fact, and Jack was watching it down at the house.
And this place was packed, and I went home so I could watch it because everybody's talking. So I went home and I was sitting in the living room when he shot it all by myself.
All I saw of that game was probably the last minute.
It's the same play we ran all the time.
The guys want the shot in those situations, usually can step up and make them.
You know, I'm sure that's what every kid in the world dreams about doing that one time. So it was no different for John, I'm sure.
Russell will inbound at half court.
I was in the corner in front of the bench there, and when I saw him with the ball and no one near him, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Stockton, open three, hit it! John Stockton sends the Utah Jazz to the NBA Finals.
Well, I was sitting on the bench, so I got a good view of it. When it left his hands, I just got up and started walking to the locker room. I just knew. I mean, I knew the guy was going to make it because he's just ice.
When he hit that shot, we all screamed so loud that we woke up everybody.
I just went bonkers, and I came down the alley here, which is 2 blocks, and people were standing up, so they knew I'd be coming. And they were, God, it was great. It was really, that was a big thrill for me.
We have never seen this kind of emotion from Stockton and Malone, and finally, their day has come.
He was acting like a little kid. He jumped up and down. He had his fist clenched, and he was just jumping up and down. He was the happiest guy in the world.
It was so much fun just seeing him hit that. And when he started, jumping up and down, we thought, hey, we can do it too.
He made that shot. I was running around the house crazy. Running all over the house. Doing what he did and everything.
It was a special day. You don't see him showing any emotion on the court, and that one was something else.
That was so many things all wrapped up into one. It was our first chance to go to the championship. It was really the first time we'd been able to beat Houston at anything.
I've never really gotten over, my first year I got traded to Houston, and he hit the shot over me to send the Jazz to the finals. It was just a terrific shot.
And what a great moment for the Utah franchise. Their proudest moment ever.
It's got to be the greatest shot in Jazz history in terms of what it meant to the team.
First of all, I want to know if you can still jump like that, okay?
After a few years off, yeah, I can.
The knees are still okay.
Probably not as high as that, though.
Talk to me about what went on in that huddle right before that, and then immediately after. I mean, we saw the joy. If there's a definition of joy, the picture ought to be that group, because that had to be, I think, one of the greatest examples of it. But what happened before that?
Well, I think the good thing is the game was already tied, and we knew that if we run the play, it's the same play, like I said on the tape. That's the same play we always run. And Carl just set that little pick, and it was a smart play on Carl's part, because at that point of the game, they don't want to call a moving screen, and he took advantage of that, got Clyde off him, and I don't know, on the video you can kind of tell when I saw John the ball leave his hands, I was already starting to motion that direction, because from my position of seeing the ball in the rim, it looked good to me. And so it was just a play we always ran. We just executed it well. John made the shot, and off we go to the finals.
And Larry, where were you? You said you didn't see this game.
Nope. Gail and I were in our car just driving around. We were in Salt Lake and turned the radio on, and we were down quite a ways between the third and fourth quarters, I recall, and then didn't gain too much till, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes to go in the game. It was just an incredible run. And when he hit it, of course, we were doing the same thing, hollering and shouting. Excuse me. One thing Carl adds to this, by the way, is that he says in the huddle, when the play was called, he said, now, John, take your time and get the shot. I promise you'll be open. And then you see, if you watch what he did to Drexler, I mean, this, as Jeff said, they cut him more than just a little slack. He latched on to Drexler and took him 15, 20 feet away from the shot. It was great.
Well, it was over a former teammate of you, and we all love Charles, but there was a certain symmetry there too for that.
Well, Charles was on Carl, so he didn't want to leave Carl, and then all of a sudden he saw John was wide open. He had to run over there and be the guy that got the basket made over. But it's just exciting for all of us to go through that, and I think the biggest thing was we've been striving for that point to get to the final. So. It's like you said, it was the shot.
It's ironic that the biggest shot in Jazz history, as characterized by Larry Miller, would come in the inverse of John Stockton and Karl Malone, because John was the shooter in this case, and Karl was the one who set the pick. But Stockton and Karl Malone, obviously two of the greatest to ever play the game of basketball, and for 18 years, they defined the Utah Jazz. The style? Well, it was simple but basically unstoppable, especially when they ran the pick and roll.
Underneath the Karl Malone, he scores the layup. Stockton to Malone.
Stockton's is a lot. You got to be able to say it like it's one word. You know?
Hammer dunk, Stockton to Malone at their ever-loving best.
You can't really talk about one in basketball without the other one.
What a wonderful combination. John getting the pick and rolls from the best power forward in the history of basketball. Do they do it well? They do it the best of anybody I've ever seen.
They've been doing it for, what, about 19 years, and they're still the best in basketball at running a pick and roll. Nobody, probably in the history of basketball, has run the pick and roll like John and Karl Malone.
It's amazing to watch, especially after all these years when people have seen them do it and still can't stop it. They still are killing people with the pick and roll.
Scoop it up in here. Pick and roll, Karl Malone.
What a deadly weapon. I mean, it's like the sky hook. It's one of a kind.
It's tough tandem. Two guys that's capable of winning games by themselves. That's at any age. They're the greatest green roll players I've ever seen in the game.
In terms of a twosome, they probably have complemented themselves about as well as any two people.
Karl brings the brute strength, the force, and John, the savvy, the passing, the shooting. Those two are lucky to have the opportunity to play with each other for so long.
They're both very blessed that they got a chance to play with each other. They're two guys who, I talk about how they make other players better. They made each other better.
I always resented Karl Malone for getting to play with a point guard that good, because that's all you really want. If you're going to run the floor, like Karl, who's terrific, run the floor every play, you know you're going to get the ball.
One of the great things about Karl Malone is that he might be the best running forward that has ever played the game, and one of the reasons he's such a great running forward is he plays with a point guard who will always give the ball up.
These guys aren't just playing the game right now. These guys are leading the league in categories. They are continuing to dominate basketball games at this late age, and that's what impresses me more than anything else.
People talk about he and Malone being in the league so many years, but that's okay because they're farther ahead in knowledge of the game and how to play the game than many players ever will be.
The Stockton-Malone contribution to the Utah Jazz, I mean, it's just second to nothing in major sports. It's just a great story. These guys have played together for so many years and stayed healthy, and no matter who their teammates are, these guys have kept this franchise at the top.
Which begs the question, is there life beyond for the singles? And it's going to be difficult. First of all, we don't know what Karl is going to do. He's going to continue to play, obviously, he says. But let's talk about John. Jeff, you've gone through retirement. You know John as well as anybody does. What does he do?
Well, first thing is he'll get away from it a little bit. The thing is, when you quit playing, you're always itching to get back out there and play. And I don't know if you'd see John at too many games because he'll be going, I want to get out there. I want to get out on the court. So, I think that when you retire, you take a little time to get away from it, give yourself a little break. And then, with John, as smart as he is with the game of basketball and his love for the game, you'll probably see him doing some sort of coaching. Again, what level, who knows, but he'll definitely be involved with the game.
I would imagine, Larry Bird said it was so hard for him to coach because he expected a certain level of performance. You're in the same boat too, John is in the same boat. How difficult would that be to go from playing at that level, because John played still at a high level this year, and then to step into coaching? Do you need that buffer time to be able to forget it, or do you get better as your memory gets worse?
Well, I think you need a little time, and I think you're right with John and the way he approached the game, the way he prepared for games, and the way he played it. It probably would be tough to coach. That's probably with Jerry. Jerry was the same way. He played it as hard as he can, and nowadays you don't get all 12 players playing like that, and I'm sure it would drive him crazy. But I'm sure he would be able to adjust a little bit and maybe put a little to the side. And like you said, if you had a few years off, maybe you realize the way the game has changed, and that
perfect picture is all guys play like that, but it's not going to happen, and he'd adjust.
Larry, the question I've been asked along with what's Carl going to do, and were you surprised? The number one question that I'm asked beyond that is, what are the Jazz going to do? When's John Stockton night? What's going to happen? You've obviously had a chance to think about it. I said today on the radio show it's going to depend on what John does, because the leverage is going. You have to twist his arm to do anything. But what are the thoughts right now?
Well, we're actually meeting tomorrow to try to really formulate what we try to do to tie all this up and put a ribbon on it. I mean, John knows he can't just walk away the way he did in the interview in the locker room. And he did that because he was starting to get emotional. And there's got to be closure for the fans and for John and for his family. So we don't know yet. The challenge is at the Delta Center, we got 20,000 seats. But if we say, community, come and celebrate the end of John's career, how many people come? It's more than 20,000. So where do you put the other 180,000 or 280,000? I thought about calling my friend Chris Hill up at the University of Utah and saying, Chris, can we use your stadium? So you got 50,000, 55,000 people up there. What do you do with the other 150 or whatever? So I don't know. It's a tall order on that regard. The other side, if they're talking about replacing John on the team, I mean, how would you like to be John Stockton's replacement and have him as a measuring stick?
I'd like him to be living in Spokane if I were doing it, or maybe further away.
I will say that I think we've got a couple of very good young point guards in Raul Lopez and Carlos Arroyo, and I think that we as a team and the fans ought not to sell them short. Clearly they're inexperienced, but we know for sure now we're in the rebuilding mode. So we probably have some time and need to be a little bit patient in terms of what we expect. Although on this team we've always liked 3 point guards. So obviously I have to be careful what I say about free agents at this juncture, but there's 2 of our 3, so we'll just have to stay tuned on that one.
So we should look for sometime in the, at least in the summer, maybe something solidified in terms of what's going to happen with some kind of a tribute or a John Stockton night or whatever.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, Steve, I appreciate you asking that question, because I think it's something that it's time maybe now that we ought to do this pretty soon while it's on everybody's mind. And of course, it's been a huge emotional experience for much of our community in our state. And it is right now, and I think to have it, I'm going to say, hanging over John as an open-ended item would be difficult for him too. So I think we'd want to try to work towards doing something sooner than later.
All right, Jeff, Larry, thanks for being with us. Thanks to you at home for joining us. We hope you've learned a little more about John Stockton. We've certainly enjoyed watching him over 19 years, and next week, more John Stockton. This is the longest retirement in history. Good night, everybody.
And thank you, Utah Jazz, for the co-MVPs of this year's All-Star Game, Karl Malone and John Stockton.
Stockton with the ball front court left. He looks to Karl Malone. He's got him low. The mailman jumps it. Shot up. It's good. He did it. He did it. John Stockton to Karl Malone. They're on their feet. A new NBA assist king. Fox inside low left. Eric Williams. Stockton steals. There it is. Stockton stole the ball. He's the all-time leader in the history of the game.
I think I'm finished. So that's I informed those guys, and that's the direction I'm headed. So